Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, two idiots would make a podcast, but everything changed when they haven't uploaded in a year. Only the two idiots can make another podcast. And here we are. Anyway, welcome back to a Slutcast.
I was holding in my lap. I didn't expect that.
Very fitting intro considering the topic at hand. We're talking about the Netflix adaptation of Avatar, The Last Airbender with the original sluts. The sluttiest slut.
That has ever slutted.
That has ever slutted in your slut life. Slut. Take a shot for every time I said slut. Actually, don't do that. You'll actually fucking die.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But it's me, the Azure Aura. Why am I in green? I don't know.
Because we are representing our nation. He is a Tauros, so therefore he belongs in the Earth Kingdom, like the peasant that he is. And I am the royalty firebender because I'm a Sagittarius. But anyway, enough dilly-dally. Let's get on with the show. We're talking about the Netflix Avatar, live-action adaptation that came out. Which will be interesting, because this is the first time I'm actually talking about Avatar, if you could believe it. I've had this channel for almost 10 years. Not a single Avatar content to be...
Hey, we've never talked about Avatar?
We had a few...
On this channel?
Nope. We've had a few failed recordings. They never got uploaded because of audio problems, and they were recorded back in 2020. But it's fine. They weren't really interesting. But...
Yeah, it was probably some whack-ass news.
It was tier list debate. It was not tier list debate. What the fuck am I doing? This is Noah. It was just tier list shit. But really,
okay.
You're not missing a whole lot. But this is the official, this is actually happening. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is it. We're talking about Avatar. And who knows? Maybe this will give birth to future Avatar content.
Ooh, I like that.
So, while we're at it, since this is the first time Avatar has been featured in this channel, what's our history with this series? I'm old, so I'm going first.
I was gonna say you should go first. It's more fitting for you. Plus, it's your channel.
Yeah. Plus, I think there's a reason why you need to go second. So basically, growing up, as usual 2000s kids are, I grew up with Nickelodeon primarily. Nickelodeon was my go-to channel network. I did dive into Cartoon Network, and I almost always avoided Disney Channel. Cartoon Network was more of a backup whenever Nick Jr. started playing, so whenever I saw Dora the Explorers, I'm like, gross, I'm not into that cringe shit, so I'll watch Teen Titans, or whatever.
You said, this disgusting.
This is disgusting, so I'll watch, shit like Teen Titans and stuff in the morning, and then in the afternoon, or on the weekends, Nickelodeon, baby. You name it. SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, Drake and Josh, you name it. But Avatar was one of those shows that I was like, huh, this is interesting. I think that's going to be like another goofy show like those other series. But nope. Nope, this is the first time a show has ever broken me. Avatar The Last Airbender is my favorite TV show of all time. I think, I may have said this before in the past, but if I haven't, yeah, this is basically a show that is, captivated me. I love the world building. I love the characters. I love pretty much everything about this show. It was something that I really enjoyed when I was a kid, but I've grown to appreciate even more as an adult. So, I remembered when Legend of Korra came out around there, I started rewatching it, and then I was, very captivated. I liked it so much more than I did when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I was just into the bending and shit. But, man, between watching it now and then remembering how the finale was back then when it aired, I would record almost every special on VHS. I did that along with Pokemon and stuff. My
god, the good old days of recording on VHS.
Dude, I miss the simple days. Am I right?
Right?
But yeah, no, I love Avatar. My opinion is being reserved on how I feel towards Legend of Korra, because right now my brief thoughts is that I think the show's fine, but I plan to rewatch it and Last Airbender just recently I reviewed all the episodes of the Netflix adaptation of Avatar, so I kind of want to do it with both the original and Korra. Hell, I even watched the god-awful M. Night Shyamalan movie, because I'm just that much of a nutcase. Long story short...
Bitch, you watched it again?
I will watch it again, yes.
Oh. Godspeed, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to do a review on everything. Like, I'm in the Avatar mood. I want to get back into the series because I had stopped getting invested with the series after the second Korra comic, and with between Avatar Studios and this, like, I'm all in. You know, this I'm going balls deep. I might even be an Avatar channel. Who knows?
Damn, look out, hello future me and overanalyzing Avatar.
Yeah. Y'all suck. All right, that's pretty much all of me. Your turn.
Okay, so I have an interesting history with this series. So I didn't get into it until I was in my early teens. This was mainly as a kid. I didn't watch Nickelodeon because my dad thought SpongeBob was weird and had the channel blocked.
Damn, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, he had that and Cartoon Network blocked. So I was just purely Disney Channel.
Okay, I was gonna say, so you'd watch Disney Channel then.
Yeah, I really had no other choice.
Damn. That's funny because Disney Channel's like the network I visited the least. It was the one my sister would watch the most, but it was the one
my
where I was
sisters
like...
watched it a lot too, but you know, because I couldn't watch Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, all those had more shows that were directed towards boys. I ended up watching shows like That's So Raven, and like one of the only shows directed at boys was The Sweet Life, like when I was growing up.
The
So
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody?
yeah, that one.
Okay.
So yeah, needless to have an interesting childhood in that regard. You can already imagine.
There was one sitcom I liked, but I don't remember what it was called. As you talk, I'll probably... Boys World? Something like that?
Oh yeah, Boys World. That's a
Yeah.
concept. But that was like way after. That's not really from like our generation. That's from like your sister's generation, / my sister.
I mean, she's technically still my generation because it's 96 is still millennial.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget.
It's the end of millennial, but yeah.
Yeah, because I'm the beginning of Gen Z, so like literally 98, the very beginning. But yeah, so Marker got me into it tried to get me into it while we were still in like middle school, I think. And I was just like, nah, man, because every time someone is like telling me how good a show is and how it's basically the second coming of Christ, you know, it's just like it ends up being ass. So then Marker and we made a deal. He would watch Bleach and I would watch Avatar in return. Not an even deal, but you know what? Whatever. We roll with it.
It was a process.
Yeah. But anyways, I ended up falling in love with the show. I loved the cast. I loved the characters. The world building was amazing. I literally became obsessed with it to the point where we would watch Legend of Korra at school together.
Oh yeah, whenever we have a substitute, we do the dancing toothless meme, and then we watch Legend of Korra. We watched like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of book 4.
Yeah, but it was book 4 though. So and it was while we were in senior year too.
No. Oh yeah. Book 4 was senior year. I was gonna say I thought it was junior year, but that was like book 3.
Yeah, book 3 was junior year for sure. And so that's kind of my brief history with it. I loved Avatar: Last Airbender. My thoughts on Korra have decreased over the years, but I still like the show. I have not read the Kyoshi novels, but everyone tells me that they're good, and from what I've seen thus far, I actually really like it. And that's just kind of my summation of the series as a whole. It's been adapted poorly into pretty much everything else, but that's I guess what we're here to talk about.
Is this one of those things? Find out on Dragon Ball Z, and in
the next 27 episodes.
And a brief thoughts of how I feel towards Bleach. I really like season 1, but season 2. Sorry, I said it wrong. My bad. I really liked the first arc, but the second arc really dragged out, and I lost interest.
I don't blame you. There is like a lot of filler in the fights.
Yeah. So that's my brief thoughts on Bleach. I feel like I need to say it since that was the reason how you got into this series in the first place. But yeah. Anyway, so I think the best way that we're gonna start this is we're gonna talk about our expectations from this series because, like it's been said before, this show has already been adapted once before into a terrible, awful movie. Quite honestly, it's probably the worst movie ever made. Like, not even a fucking contest.
Let's cast the Asian and Native American characters as fucking white people.
There are definitely worse. There are definitely a lot of bad movies out there, but even if Last Airbender isn't objectively the worst one, it's a personal hatred of mine. Not even worth discussing here.
It's also definitely one of the worst adaptations of a show.
The only one that I think can even remotely close is probably Dragon Ball Evolution, but yeah.
I was gonna say.
But, so, when I heard that Netflix was adapting this series, this was announced a while ago, I think. Or at least it felt like before pandemic that this announced.
I think it was announced in 2020 when we were, maybe that was one of the videos was about.
No, well, it was when Avatar Studios was formed, because they left the project, ironically. Actually, it's a great question. I like, my memory is like thinking that they announced it in 2019 or 2020. It was something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's talk about what we expected from this. So, should you rock paper scissors and who gets to go first, or do you want to go first?
Bitch, we're not in video call, but you can go first. It's your.
I don't have a lot to say about my expectations towards this show because I was very pessimistic about it. I really didn't have.
I mean, same. As
Like,
soon as I heard that the creators left due to creative differences, I was like, this show is gonna be ass.
It was even before that I wasn't really excited for it because it was like I've always been against adapting something animated to live action. It could be done well, but I honestly just, besides making money or capitalizing on its success, I just never thought it would be necessary. Since at the end of the day, I'm going to tell people to watch the animated series at the end of the day. Not to mention, Avatar is something that it's like, it felt like it was it was something special, and it was like a team effort thing to make the show as spectacular as it is. To have to recreate it,
And it was very ahead of its time too.
To have to recreate it in live action, it's a rough one. Like,
yeah, it would definitely, just with the bending alone, that would take up so much CGI and like a lot of effort into it.
I haven't seen One Piece, obviously, either versions of it. But like the only hope that I had was the fact that the Netflix adaptation of One Piece was good. But
Yeah.
you know, the difference is that the creators didn't leave on that one, and you know, they were
No,
still.
if anything, Oda, the creator of One Piece, even met with Iñaki Godoy, the actor for Luffy, in the live-action series.
Yeah, he liked this performance, didn't he?
Not only he liked it, he met with him in person and said, as soon as I saw your audition tape, I said to myself, that's Luffy.
Okay, so I just Googled it. They actually announced it in 2018.
Damn.
But they start production in 2019. So I was like, I knew this was before pandemic that I heard about this. And I think at some point during the pandemic is when I saw the image of Aang and Appa. But yeah. Again, after, like, with most things live action, and pretty much after how I felt towards the M. Night Shyamalan movie, I just didn't feel anything towards this being adapted. Now, granted, when the trailer started coming up, there was a little bit of excitement, and I think by the last trailer we got, I was pretty excited for it, because it's like, it seemed like it had the spirit of Avatar in them, but then quickly after that, what comes later? Sokka's sexism being toned down or outright removed. We saw the show, spoilers, it was removed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Aang being more serious, the show catering to Game of Thrones fans. Like, you know, it's felt like my excitement went from yay to I wasn't sure how to feel about this anymore.
The gatekeep girl boss moment. Very poorly executed gatekeep girl boss moments.
Granted, I have my thoughts about how I feel towards these three subjects in particular, but I feel like as we get to the episodes is when we'll probably be discussing them more so. But to say the least, like it felt like there were red flags after red flags with this series.
Oh, for sure, 100%. That's why our expectations were booty cheeks.
It was booty cheeks in the beginning. It went up a bit, and then it went back down.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah. Do you have anything to add to the expectations, or did we pretty much nail it?
You pretty much nailed it. I'll just add my 2 cents, which are that I didn't see the trailers. I wanted to go completely blind into this. The only thing I knew was the casting, and so far the casting was actually really good for the most part. Um, and that was it. I mostly went blind. The only thing I saw of the show, besides the first trailer and the casting, was one random clip on Twitter of Azula lightning generating. So
Oh,
yeah,
you saw that scene before we saw it?
yeah. I thought I told you.
Oh, I might have forgotten. Maybe you did, but I don't remember. I didn't remember.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. It popped up randomly on Twitter, and then I was like, oh, well, okay, she can lightning bend. That's cool. It's not like we didn't see that before.
All right, so just to clarify, I saw the series twice. Saw it when it actually came out, and then the weekend after I saw it with the slut. So I saw the shit twice.
Nah, unlike him, I'm loyal to my friends, and I said I'm gonna watch this with Marker.
He was gonna make me wait a second weekend. Come on, y'all. I needed my opinions out there. Needed to capitalize on this show. You know, this show's gonna make me money and famous. Anyway.
Oh yeah, so true.
Anyway,
$12.
Those are the healthiest $12 ever. Anyway, what did you think of the show overall? Give your brief thoughts about what did you feel about it, like after seeing it.
So, I recently came into conclusion that
It's garbage.
I think that a show it's fucking trash. Don't watch it. No, I recently came to conclusion that if I can't recommend a show wholeheartedly, then it's not good.
That's
And safe to say, I can't recommend this show wholeheartedly, unless you're like not a fan of Avatar and you need something in the background. Really, just don't watch this show.
if you don't like animation, I guess maybe watch it, but you know.
Yeah, like I get why they were adapting it into live action. One, nowadays there's a lot of talk about diversity and hiring opportunities for actors who are just not white. And this was a great opportunity for a lot of Asian and Native American actors to be on screen and show their stuff, because unfortunately they don't get a lot of roles.
I think Iroh's actor of this series said something like that in one of the behind the scenes thing that Netflix put out. He said something very similar to what you just said.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement to that. Words are hard, especially when you're brain dead. So that was cool, and also just live action and animation. They have to even though they're different mediums, and they both relate to shows and movies. They have very different fan bases. So what people may like in animation, they may not like in live action. Like a lot of people think that animation is just for like kid stuff. And really, that's only a notion in the Western world.
Yeah,
everywhere else, everything is like it's all just like chill.
Yeah, I mean they're wrong, but you know those people exist.
I mean, yeah, we know they're wrong, but do they know they're wrong? Not really. And no one's gonna watch an animated series. Give a maybe. Let me try this one animated series that came out in, like what, 2005?
Yeah.
To see if I'm wrong? No, they're gonna fucking stay with their preconceived notions.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the middle with this one. I mean, I think it's a little bit more leaning more towards negative as time goes on, because one of the episodes that we watched, I did not have nearly as a negative reaction towards it as you did. I gave after I gave like a little bit of thoughts. I like docked. Okay, so I had my first impressions on these episodes when I was watching it, but then when I rewatched it with you, one of them got worse for me, and then the other went from like a 5 out of 10 to like a 4 out of 10 episode to me, which is the one that you responded negatively, because it was like it was things that I didn't really give thought of the first time.
There was a lot of episodes in the middle that I did not respond to positively. So
no, but that one in particular. I mean, we'll get into it because I don't want to reveal it yet. But that one in particular, you really did not like, and it was like, and I didn't think of it too negatively the first time. But over time, after thinking about it and after rewatching it with you, I was like, yeah, this episode was so much worse than I remembered. And then another one that I praised the ending of, or specific scenes, but then didn't realize that the entire episode was probably my least favorites. So, you know, it's a 5, but it's still ranged a 5 out of 10 for me, but it's closer to a 4 than it is to a 6. It
I
like
was gonna say it's a 4.
it's like it narrowly. Again. Here's the thing. So how I do this, because I have a Serializd account. Link will be in the description to y'all. I reviewed all the episodes and I gave them all a score, but the score of the overall show gets an aggregated score as well. So I add all the scores, divide them by 80 since there's 8 episodes, and based on what it gets, it's the score. It got like a 46%, round up 6 to 4, got a 5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
So
That makes sense.
So it narrowly reaches a 5, but it's way closer to a 4 than it is to a 6.
Yeah.
There are things I liked, you know. There are things that I think there are like a couple things there were a couple changes that I really liked, but then I'd say for the most part I reacted to the same issue, which is pacing, cramming too many plot lines of specific episodes into one. And just specific changes to like the world building changes just kind of irked me. There might be some executions of things that I did not like. All that will be explored as we get to the episodes, but to put it bluntly, like, while I do enjoy some aspects of the show, I did not come out of it like liking it at all. I didn't come out of it hating it either. So that's why I'm like somewhat in the middle. I'm wondering if my opinions will change as time progresses, you know? As we get to the later seasons, maybe I'll sour this one through, or maybe as we talk about them, I'll realize that the episodes are so much worse, and then this show's like a 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm right in the middle.
I mean, same pretty much. I think we just have similar thoughts on this, with the exceptions of like maybe a couple points here and there on a few episodes. We pretty much have the same thoughts on this show. Like, I did not like it, but I don't hate it. I don't think it's the worst thing ever made. I don't think it's just as bad, if not worse, than the movie. I think it's better than the movie for damn sure.
No, this show compared to the movie, it's like
Tornado Hoochie alone in episode 1 just beat the entire live action movie cast.
I would absolutely love to hear an argument of someone saying that the movie was better, because if there was, first of all, bending alone makes it better than the movie. Personality alone makes us better than the movie.
Listen, give me a couple $100 and some alcohol, and I'll be able to try and make that argument.
Bro, you're probably gonna need like 5 alcohol. Along with some weed here and there.
I need to relax.
Actually, that's not even enough. Weed, cocaine. Bro, you're gonna fucking die.
Cocaine is gonna like make me go crazy. Cocaine is a stimulant.
Bro, you're gonna fucking die. Anyway.
I need like Xanax.
But how does this? But we know how this compares to the movie. How does this compare to the original? Not even a fucking contest.
Yeah, it's like comparing a campfire to a star.
It's like comparing a campfire to a fucking forest fire. No, I'm kidding. That's the movie. No, it's like I said. There were changes in here that I liked. Do I like them better than the original? There's actually one thing I did like more. Do we want to talk about them here, or do you want to get to spoiler territory? Like, what are we comparing exactly? What can we compare without giving away spoilers?
Ooh, we can compare the level of violence. So
okay, yeah, this one's on crack.
Well, only really for like the first episode. Like the first 2 episodes were definitely the more violent. But like, there was one episode where we meet a character who wields 2 knives, and she does a bunch of slashing attacks on this one dude, but there's no blood.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, I was exaggerating when I said this show was on crack, but I was put off by it in the beginning, you know, seeing Sozin, you know, fucking torch the Earthbender in the beginning did kind of like, ooh, you know?
Seeing all those air nomads get fucking murderized.
Disintegrated, the
Tornado Hoochie.
The North, the final battle in the Siege of the North had some deaths here and there. Basically, one thing that I was expecting, and I expected for it to continue with this, especially when we get to a specific other character, they don't have Nickelodeon's restrictions on censoring death. So they can go crazy if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And especially they wanted to go with the Game of Thrones audiences without the sex, and I guess without the dragons too. But
Yeah, you can definitely see a lot of the Game of Thrones influences in the first episode and in the last two.
yeah, because like the show still has some the show still has some humor. It reminds me of humor that I would expect in
Mhm.
a series like this. But when it comes to the violence, yeah, we're only in the original. We were being told that, oh yeah, the Fire Nation did this. They killed my mother. They made us all homeless. But we never got to see it. And obviously, a show directed to kids, and especially on Nickelodeon, we were never gonna see that. Korra upped
Mhm.
the antics a little bit, but even Korra had to hold back a bit. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think the creators of Avatar are just fucking crazy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But like, so I don't. So seeing Netflix's adaptation, it's like I think I knew moving in that I'm like, okay, we can actually see some deaths, uncensored. So, we can see the air genocide. We can see, specific, like we can actually see the consequences of war, how it affects people.
Mhm.
We can even see Katara's mom dying. We
I was
don't.
gonna say we can finally see the death of a Disney parent.
Right. So yeah, the violence is interesting. I don't. I feel like this is gonna sound weird of me, but like there are moments in which it's like the first death scene was like wow, like impressive, like Jesus Christ. But I felt
Hmm.
like, but I think that was the best death scene in the series because I think everything else just feels so tamed after the fact. It's like you said, the first episode definitely
Yeah.
felt that Game of Thrones vibe that I think they were aiming for.
Hmm.
But you
The
know,
way I can best compare the violence is that the first episode and maybe the last episode were Game of Thrones, and everything in the middle was like slightly lower than Korra's level of violence.
yeah, it was
It's
really
not the
those two.
same level.
Yeah, it's really those two episodes. Well, there was a moment in episode 3, but yeah, even that,
Yeah, that's true, but even that
but that
one.
one was hella tamed compared to
Yeah.
the other ones. What else can we compare?
Let me think.
Trying to avoid like talking about the episodes because those are getting its own category.
Same.
But
Let me.
yeah, like the violence
The
is definitely.
bending. The bending was actually pretty well adapted, I would say.
Yeah, I could say. Like,
Hmm.
I can't really get into specifics of CG because I'm not gonna pretend like I know shit about that, or at least like I'm a fucking connoisseur. To me, the
Oh, but
bending's
it's
like,
not really just the CG. And sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
yeah, no, the bending is great. Like, I don't really have any complaints towards the bending. Um, I'm not gonna even bother even comparing it to the original because, like, of course, the moment you see the Earthbender in the beginning, it's already an improvement to the force stomping Earthbender and the floating rock from the movie.
Yeah. For yeah, the bending was well adapted, not just with like CG, but also just they really made sure that the actors knew what they were doing, like what movements were gonna be done, and how the bending interacted with each individual movement.
Yeah, like Zuko in this show definitely feels like Zuko in this, like
Right. The fighting style
the fighting
really
style
translates so
especially.
well. Even like specific moves, like Zuko's little breakdance maneuver, Katara's ice discs that she used, in that one fight. The water whip was the only thing that didn't translate all too naturally, but that's just because like water whip was I don't know, it was kind of made up for the show and doesn't really sound like it would translate well to live action. So
Yeah,
yes, whatever.
yeah.
But aside from that, all of it translated super well, and the
Even
fight scenes were amazing
the
too.
fight scenes are definitely well adapted. A
Hmm.
lot, even
It,
some of
re-
the non-bending stuff, like with Suki and Jet, for instance, were
mhm.
handled really
it
well.
really, it really felt like they definitely took influences from wuxia movies. You know the movies like The Hidden Dragon, Kung Fu Hustle,
Yeah.
with like the wire action. So cool. I loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, the action sequences are definitely something I praise for this show. There's probably like maybe one there's maybe probably one fight that I didn't like, but again, we'll get to the episodes.
Yeah,
But for the most
I
part,
think I know which one you're talking about, but we'll get to it when we
yeah,
get to it.
yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. But like, yeah, everything else was handled spectacularly. I would say from the action sequences. Bending was also pretty well done. I mean, if I had to continue talking about like what the adapt, I'm probably gonna get into the casting at this point. So Shall we get into the casting? Unless there's something else we can compare.
Sure, yeah. So instead of casting an Asian character by a white person or Native Americans by white people, they actually went for as close as you can get to the cultures that were inspired or that inspired the different nations.
Yeah,
So we
and
had like Asian actors playing roles for the Fire Nation, Earth Kingdom, and Air Nomads, and also a lot of Native American, especially Inuit actors for the Water Tribe.
the long story short, they heard us. They heard us
Yeah.
from the last time they did this.
Pretty much.
The casting was fucking perfect, I would say. No, almost,
Yeah.
almost perfect. The only ones that I really didn't like were Azula, Ty Lee, and May. But the rest I really liked. I think Aang looked the part. I think Katara was also great. Sokka had the sense of humor. Ozai and June, I swear, were pulled straight out of the animated series into here. Iroh
I
was
want them to both marry me.
Iroh was spectacular. Zuko was also spectacular. Suki and Jet were spectacular. Yeah,
Zuko sounds like Dante Bosco even. Like, that was crazy.
especially during the grunts he makes when he's fighting. It's perfect. It's almost 1-to-1 perfect. The casting was so done. Like, I liked almost everybody. I just think that Azula, no hate towards the actress, wonderful actress, but it's really hard to mimic Azula. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I can see her playing a villain in particular, but Azula it takes a lot. Like, it's a lot of personality, a lot of sarcasm that the actress was able to pull off.
Yeah, no one is as charismatic. It's really hard to compete with when you have to compete with Grey Delisle of all people, basically
Yeah.
voice acting royalty.
So, it's no hate towards the actress, but yeah, unfortunately, like, that's just probably the one iffy thing where I'm like, okay,
I mean,
maybe I need to see you in more stuff because I know it's weird talking about Azula in book 1, but believe it or not, she actually does have a decent amount of appearances.
yeah, about a handful, I would say.
Yeah.
And is mentioned quite a bit.
Ty Lee, I don't know. Ty Lee and May, okay, more so Ty Lee. I feel like I need to see her in action in season 2 for me to really get a proper opinion because my first impressions are just meh. May is the one where I'm like,
I actually really liked Ty Lee, but I feel like they did her dirty because the actress herself, if you look at her in interviews, she acts just like Ty Lee. She's very bubbly, very happy, very
Okay.
energetic. So as soon as I saw her in like this like short little interview on the red carpet, I was like, okay, this is definitely Ty Lee, 100%.
but when you say they did her
but-
dirty,
Yeah, because she was just quiet. She was just there in the background. I don't even know why they had her and May there. I mean, I know why, but
service,
their
yeah.
roles could have easily been replaced with Lo and Lee, like the
Yeah.
2 firebending teachers that Azula had.
yeah. I probably have to see more of a Ty Lee, but like again here it's like she's just kind of boring, and I know May is boring in the show or just moody, but there's something about the okay, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking say it. I'm sorry, people. I think a friend of a friend said it best. She just looks a little too chubby for her to be May, and considering the fact that May is a very agile person, on top of her dress, I just don't see her pulling off the shit that May does in the show. And maybe I need to see it, but because we don't see it here, I don't know. I just don't really see May in her. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I don't know if she's chubby or just she has a chubby face, but
Yeah, but
I mean, I don't like body shaming or talking about people's bodies all that much.
that's why
but-
that's why I was like hesitant to say it, but there's no there's no other way to put it.
No, I get what you mean, and they put her in like even though the outfit itself was relatively well adapted. I think out of the Azula trio, her outfit was the best one. The cut just made her look frumpy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think it probably looks the best, but no. Well, I think I like Tyler's
Well,
outfit
it's
a
the
little bit more.
closest
But
to the original,
exactly.
but it just looks frumpy on
It
her.
just doesn't look
like
right.
maybe they just need to like change the silhouette a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like May and this actress, they have very different silhouettes. May is she looks like a little weasel. Like she's very narrow and thin, and very like not very broad shoulders, but that's the broadest you're gonna get from her. Whereas this actress, because she is a bit on the plump side, um, you know, she can't really have that silhouette. So I would just say change her silhouette up a bit to make it not have her look skinnier, but to just make it look better on her for her body type.
Yeah, because I think it looks the best, but it just didn't look right on her. I don't know. Again, maybe or I just need to see her more in season 2 where they're actually doing stuff.
Like a part of the outfit, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
You just need to see her in motion.
But besides that, I thought everyone else was great. I thought everyone was well casted. I thought everyone played their roles right. I see that there was a lot of passion going into this project with a lot of these actors.
Yeah, Iroh especially was amazing. But there's one thing that I want to mention about Azula before I forget, and you just reminded me of it. With Azula, I noticed that they were trying to make her character a bit more of a Cersei Lannister type. Whereas this is the villain, but this is the villain that, has understandable-ish backstory, is actually evil and actually a horrible person, but you can kind of see why she is the way she is.
Yeah.
And Azula is kind of like that, to be fair, but Azula is also... She's not Cersei Lannister. She's her own character. And I feel like because they were trying to appease to Game of Thrones fans, they made her a bit too much like Cersei Lannister when they should have focused more on her charisma, her ability to manipulate. I feel like her introductory scene was actually great. It was a great, start to her character. Just have her, smile coyly while people are burning alive and make fun of them. That was Azula. Everything else afterwards felt like Cersei Lannister to me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like that because they want to, play around with the whole Azula deserves redemption conversation.
I think that's a part of it.
Yeah, because I think we said it. I think one of us said this, or we both thought the same thing when we were watching it. But it felt like Azula was already hitting her mental breakdown stuff from book 3 in this season.
And I agree.
Yeah, it's it felt like, which again, don't want to skip ahead, but that is kind of one of my bigger problems with this show is just how quickly things are. But
it blows its load way too quickly.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the designs of, the costumes and stuff, but I think one of the things you were really infatuated for were the locales.
Ooh, but before I get into that, there's something I need to talk about, and that is just a lot of the hate that went towards Sokka and Katara's actors.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
So, with Sokka's actor in particular, a lot of people were saying that he's not Inuit, this isn't right. He should not have been casted for the role. He lied about his ethnicity. I agree, lying about your ethnicity is a douchey thing to do. I'll admit that. However, the Water Tribe isn't just Inuit. Just alone, and if you just look at any video about analyzing the different cultures within Avatar, the different cultures that inspired Avatar, you'll see that the Water Tribe was inspired by a lot of different cultures, such as Native Americans, Inuit, Aboriginals, a lot of indigenous cultures. Even Mongolian.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that was pulled for these different cultures, and it's not just, Fire Nation is Japan, so we only have to have Japanese actors, when that wasn't even the case for fucking Zuko, Zuko's actor, if I'm not mistaken, was Chinese.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, it's not that air nomads are specifically Tibetan, or Earth Kingdoms are specifically Chinese, when you can find a lot of Indian and Japanese influences within the Earth Kingdom. And within the Fire Nation, there's a lot of Southeast Asian and even Icelandic and Egyptian influences in it. So,
yeah,
it's just, I'm not a fan of, that. And as for Katara, I saw this nasty-ass notion that people were saying that she wasn't dark enough. They said that, she doesn't have enough melanin to be Katara. And I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? They got an Inuit actress for the role, and she plays it tremendously.
Yeah,
and she even looked like Katara.
She's not black enough.
First off, Katara isn't even black. That's a lot of people think that she is, but...
I was joking.
No, I know you were. But, a lot of people, for some reason, think that Katara is black. When she's not.
I'm not getting into this whole Tanya shit debate. That was another one where it's oh, no, she's black. No, she's... Egyptian. No, she's fucking...
It's different with this one, because in this one, Native American cultures and a lot of indigenous cultures were the ones that were the main influences of the water tribe. So it makes sense to have indigenous actors play those roles.
Yeah.
So I'm just upset that they like, even though like they picked an actress who is Inuit, who looks like Katara, who acted so tremendously as Katara. It was literally like looking at Mae Whitman and like, as a little person.
Yeah, I don't think Mae Whitman looks like Katara.
No, I know, but like Mae Whitman's character, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I was gonna say Mae Whitman. I'm like, I don't know about that one, buddy.
Mae Whitman is white as chalk. But it sucks to see that people. The first thing you see, like in the comment section of like, oh, what do you think about the casting of Avatar? Is, oh, Katara's not dark enough. That's just really rude and quite frankly a little racist. But whatever.
Yeah, we don't support that hate speech. YouTube, please don't take down this fucking video. This is not an easy thing to recreate. All right, please.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So getting into the designs and locales. I thought the locales literally came straight from the show.
Yeah, this is gonna be your territory, but I feel this. But I pretty much feel the same way. I think my only issue is whenever they're in a forest, I swear they all look the fucking same. So like,
yeah,
that's my only.
You can't really do much with a forest.
Yeah, I know, but like I remember during the trailer, I was like thinking, oh, we must be in like, okay, for instance, when they leave Omashu and then they're about to go to the Heibai thing, for instance. The forests look exactly the same, and it's like, okay, when I was seeing the trailer, all this time I was like thinking, this is Jet's hideout or whatever. But no,
right.
It's not even... One side of it is, but the other isn't, and it's like, I don't know. Like, that's like the only issue I have, because like I thought it would be one thing, but it's really another. It's just a damn-ass forest, But,
yeah. No, with the...
But everything else I liked. Like, I love how the air temples look like. I love the water tribes. Both the southern and the...
especially, even though I hated this episode, I freaking loved Bumi's throne room. I loved the palace of Omashu.
Yeah.
Because in the show, it looked very generic. It just looked kind of like generic stone architecture type of situation.
He's a ground type gym leader.
No, but this time, they went with, because they cast an actor from the Indian subcontinent, they went through a whole, like, basically, like, Indian, West Asian type look, and it was amazing. Like, I loved it. It looked so good and so green and vibrant.
Yeah.
And the settings were just so well made. I was especially impressed with what's it called? I'm trying to remember what they named the Northern Water Tribe place.
Oh,
Aquagella or something
I don't
like
remember that one. I thought you were talking about Wolf Cove. I was ready to say that one.
No.
I'll look
I was
into it.
especially impressed with that because there aren't many. Like, you can't really go to a country where, like, some countries, they, like, literally make certain cities to look like old cities, so that way they can film in. China does this a lot because they're obsessed with period dramas. But, you can't do that with the Northern Water Tribe. So that looked incredible. It looked so good. It looked so well adapted. I loved it.
I found the name. I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try.
Oh, Agnakella. That's it. Yeah.
I was about to say it, and I was like, nope, I'm not even.
You could really see the influences. Like even with Wolf Cove, the freaking water symbol was made out of bones, and I love that shit. Yeah. Like, just those little details, because like it makes sense. The Water Tribe because they're based off of indigenous cultures, they'll obviously have a lot of bones and wooden architecture, and that's what they did, and it was awesome. I loved it. And the outfits were just literally hands down amazing. I especially liked how they adapted Sokka and Katara's looks from book 1, because instead of they went with like the similar silhouette, but just a different look. And I love it. Sokka looks more like a warrior, and Katara, her look looks less like trying to be Asian, but not Asian. Okay. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
But it looks fucking cool, and I loved it. and I like the little leather details, like
Somehow
the
I
belt.
felt like you explained that better when we were watching it than what you're doing here.
Right? I try not to. Thing is, I try. That's the reason why I try not to talk a lot about my thoughts on a show because I wait for the sludcast because I know when it comes out in the sludcast, it doesn't come out the same.
Yeah, because like you explained it better why you like this outfit of Katara more than the original better, and I don't really remember exactly what words you said, but you didn't say trying to look Asian but not. That was not what you said prior.
It looked cool because they used actual pieces that you could totally envision a world like that. Because Katara's book one outfit, she had tights underneath.
See, that was
skirt.
more or less something what you said.
Yeah, and I'm like, why the fuck would she be wearing tights? Those weren't invented yet. The only person allowed to wear tights here is fucking not Kiyoshi, what's her face? June.
You know, this reminds me of Star Wars, where it's like, hey, there's no tights in this time period. Where Star Wars is like, there's no underwear in space.
There's no underwear in space. You can't wear a bra. The fuck is
and
that?
then Carrie Fisher was like, I swear, Padme got. I bet Padme got to wear a bra, where I didn't because he told me there was no underwear in space. It reminded me of that.
Oh, Yue, even though the actress is beautiful, they did her dirty with hair and makeup, though. But at least her hair doesn't look like a penis.
Again, everything is better in this than in the live action, than the original movie.
Yeah, they did Seychelle Gabriel dirty with that one. Speaking of which, did you know that
She played Asami?
live action... Yeah, she
Yeah,
voiced
I knew
Asami, live action Yue.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. They got penis head girl to play one of the main cast.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like,
You didn't really talk about
I
the
thought
air
locales
temple.
were great. The air temples, that's right. The air
Yeah,
temples, they felt literally straight out of the fucking panels of like, not the panels, but just basically straight out. I'm used to talking about comics when it comes to this shit. It literally looked straight out of the show. It looked too good to be real. It looked amazing.
Yeah, I was surprised that one in particular because I think that was the one you gushed about the most when we were watching.
Yes, it was so pretty. And that's gonna be hard to recreate because it's not like you can go to a actual Tibetan temple and be like, yeah, can we record here? No, you have to make that shit custom.
Can we record here? Thanks, man.
And I don't know, I just love the locales. I especially liked that it looked a lot like, oh, I forget what these mountains called, but it's basically what inspired a lot of the locations of the Air Nomads, where there are these mountains that look like giant pillars. And it's like a whole ass mountain range. And that's just basically what it looked like in the live action show. It looked so much like that. And I was like, good on you for that. That shit looks awesome. I don't know what else to say.
Bud.
It looks amazing. I love the architecture for this show.
Alright, so
Not a fucking architecture doctor, but there's
an architecture doctor.
fire.
Not
Yeah,
an
words are hard.
architect, an architecture doctor.
Yeah.
That building is a patient of mine. Sorry.
You see that damaged wall from the firebending? Yeah, I gotta repair that shit.
Yeah, he's got cancer. Gotta treat this one.
Yeah. Oh, that scorch mark from Tornado Hoochie? Yeah, I gotta like peel the guts off of it later.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. We're gonna be discussing spoilers now. We're gonna be discussing each episode. There are only 8 of them, so it's not like it's gonna be, it's not gonna take ages. If we were talking about the original, we probably wouldn't do this because there would be like 20 episodes, But
Yeah.
here it's just 8. I was surprised that there were only gonna be 8 episodes, but at the same time, it was like, I don't know what I would have expected. For some dumb reason, I was like shocked that there was 8 episodes because I was like, expected there to be more. But I get that even with especially if the episodes are like an hour long each, 8 episodes definitely seems about right. I was just shocked because for some reason I expected like more, maybe like 10.
I don't blame you. Because when you adapt something, you would expect your natural instinct is to expect the whole thing to be adapted.
Yeah, like 1-to-1 kind of.
Mm-hmm. With like a few exceptions here, like obviously they weren't gonna adapt the Great Divide.
Yeah, it was
The
enough.
worst episode
It was
in the
enough. It
series.
was enough to get reference though.
It was enough to get reference, true. But that's because the Avatar fandom talks so much shit about it.
But yeah, but let's start with episode 1, Aang.
Boy in the Iceberg was a better title. You said
Yeah,
it too.
yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. It's like it still talks about Aang as the title without saying his name, but Boy in the Iceberg sounds way catchier than just
They
Aang.
didn't want to have the same title as the Ember Island players.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that was I forgot that was the name of the play. Okay, so I think this is the one episode we think differently on, or at least if we do think differently, there was one sequence that we disagree on. I did not like the execution of the air genocide, and I think it's a little bit more than I just thought there was something lacking in how, for instance, okay, so I've been on I've seen fan comics, I've seen fan edits, I've seen the one where it depicts how Sokka would have died in Legend of Korra, I've seen most of those things. There was one that stood out to me, which was actually showcasing the air genocide, and it hit me the fact that that was probably one of the most brutal shit that could happen. And there were like cuts of this fan comic that depicts, airbenders being set on fire in a way that actually put me off. It was like, Jesus Christ. Like, because, it was an important event. Hell, the year is based off of it, When you look at like, this character was born in 100 AG, like, after genocide, which was after the air genocide. That's how much of a big, impact
It had.
Yeah. So before that, it's BG, before genocide. So when I heard that I figured they were going to show it, since especially it started off with Sozin in this episode. But one of the fan comics that depicted it showcased dragons. And I figured dragons still existed in Sozin's time. It's unknown when he started hunting them down, because it could be between after Roku's death or after the air genocide. We don't really know for sure. But they did exist, and Sozin did have one. So I was just more caught up. I was more put off with the fact that we didn't get to see. It generally felt like, even though this show was trying to go for a more mature theme, it felt like the most Game of Thrones episode of the bunch, but without the dragons. And I don't know. There was, even if they had the dragons or not, I didn't really care. It's like there was just something that didn't feel right with its execution, and I can't help if it's because we're seeing this now as opposed to learning it with Aang and the others, because in the original, we found out what happened when we visited the Southern Air Temple. It was hinted by Grand that, yeah, the Air Nomads haven't been seen in hundreds of years, but that's not really...
Grand's old ancient ass
that's
with
not
bats in her pussy probably, like, knew every detail about it.
Yeah, but it's like, in the original, it doesn't mean that they were extinct yet. We sort of got that confirmation when we started visiting them, and there's like no sign of life. There's Fire Nation corpses everywhere, and especially Gyatso, which not only was very impactful when we saw that, because this is someone important to Aang that is dead, but it basically solidifies the fact that Aang is definitely on his own, like he's the last of his kind. And hell, it's been implied in comics that some did survive the air genocide, but were captured and killed by other means.
Mm-hmm.
I guess part of me is like, this feels a little contrived because they made this whole Comet Festival thing where it's like, everybody from all the nations all the temples are here in this one location,
My guess is that... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it felt a little contrived, and then on top of that, when Gyatso actually dies, in the original show, there were Fire Nation corpses around his body, which means he went down, but he took some people down with him. We didn't see that here. He kind of died. He just kind of died, Yeah,
he just kind of made like a wind barrier, and that was it.
And I thought he was going to do the Zahir thing with that wind barrier, which is like presumably what he used to kill those Fire Nation soldiers.
Right.
But we didn't really get to see that.
I thought the wind barrier was the freaking Zahir move for a second, but really we didn't see anyone die after they were just kind of being pushed down.
Yeah, no, nobody died during the Gyatso Sozin thing. Hell, I don't even know if a firebending soldier died. They may have, but I didn't see it. But either way, there was something off-putting with the execution on top of the expo dump that we got from Grand later that basically retold that same story, and then going back to the Southern Air Temple for a minute and seeing the same reaction. It just felt weak. It just generally felt like the execution towards this episode while I don't think the cramming here is as bad as later episodes, this is where I started feeling the problem here, because it's like they combined like three or four episodes into here, because there's a little bit of the storm, there's a little bit of the first two episodes, and then there's the Southern Air Temple, and they all went by really fast. Hell, it was even fast even discovering Gyatso's body, and then Aang being into the spirit thing. Katara wasn't even the one that calmed him down. It was like a Gyatso flashback, which was cute, but I thought it was a little bit cheap. And yeah, like... Aang didn't even run away in this episode. He just, like, cleared his head, but he went so fucking far into the seas.
Yeah, I mean... Okay, so... I gotta address each point. I can understand why they did what they did when it came to, like, the Comet Festival thing. And it was because they probably didn't know that comic existed. Hell, I didn't know about it until relatively recently, maybe both.
I wouldn't have known comics existed during that time period. I'm gonna be real with you, but fuck me.
I didn't know that comic existed until
you said it again.
Relatively recently. A comic, you bastard! Shut up.
Oh wait, you're actually talking about comics. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I didn't know that comic in particular existed until like relatively recently. I thought that was something that was just confirmed by the creators. So maybe they didn't know about that. So to explain like why, the temples, why the air nomads were all murdered, they basically had to like make up this festival and have all of them celebrate together. I can see if they didn't know that would be the explanation for it.
Yeah.
They were all grouped up together because of this, culturally significant festival.
Which is weird because even in the original depicts like all the three main temples, because the Western Air Temple was underground, kind of. They were all when during the Fire Lord episode, when Sozin depicts how he would he talked about how he hunted down each of every Airbender just to find the Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
All three temples were on fire, not just the Southern Air Temple.
That is true. That is true.
They attacked all the other ones, and again, they don't have to show us, attacking. They don't have to show us them attacking all the temples. Like I think they would have gotten their message clear with just the Southern Air Temple. Hell, the fan comic I was talking about was one of the temples. It wasn't all 3, but yeah, no.
Yeah, but the thing about that is that. It's in the base. It's in the name of the group. Nomads, air nomads. Mm-hmm. They were nomadic people. They would travel around. Even Aang would go and visit parts of the Earth Kingdom and of the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
And so that was what caused a lot of people to think like, okay, maybe not all of them were killed. Maybe they're just a couple here and there. That's why a lot of people speculate that Ty Lee is some sort of air nomad descendant.
Right.
So I can understand why the creators of this live-action show wanted them to congregate all in one place. I think like the Comet was a good excuse for it, because they established that it was culturally significant to them, and as such, all of them, because they're the most spiritual people of the world of Avatar, they would all be there. So I can kind of understand it.
Yeah,
but I can agree with you on the point of the dragons.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna agree with the more that it felt, even if you can understand it, that like
it was more contrived.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels a little bit more contrived.
Because like, La Calle de San Sebastian, we're Puerto Rican. La Calle de San Sebastian are a culturally significant part of PR, but not every Puerto Rican goes to them.
Yeah, I'm one of those hoochies.
Yeah.
you get mugged there. Don't go there.
But I can see why, but I can see why you think it's contrived, and I agree with you. I also agree with you on the dragons. The dragons, I felt like we should have seen at least Sozin's. Because while I think dragons were they were most likely rare and, probably royalty or nobility only used them or had access to them, like, think about who we saw in the show who had access to dragons.
If anything, that would have been a good explanation. That would have been a good time to explain why, like, who actually owns the dragons, or if it's only royalty that can use it.
Yeah, like we could have seen like Sozin being the only one with a dragon there. That would have made him look so much more imposing.
Or if they weren't going to use a dragon, like, a little throwaway lines like, "Shall we release the dragons?" No. they will only get in the way or some crap like that. You know,
Yeah,
some bullshit
something like that.
You know, something.
I'm glad that they showed the firebenders able to fly upwards, because even though we saw that in the show with Ozai when the comet came, like he was able to actually fly around and propel himself with firebending. We still were like struggling to think of like how were they able to get up there? Like, did they all do that little jet thing? Did they use dragons? Did they use the tundra tank things? Were they invented yet?
That's where I mostly thought about the dragons. That were like the most convenient way to get up there, since it's the air temple. The only exception is obviously the Western Air Temple, but you know, obviously.
Yeah. No, because with that one, they'll just like put ropes and shit at the edge of the cliff and just like go down and swing in like damn monkeys.
Or do exactly what Azula did, you know?
That too, just a little fire kick thingy to just like propel themselves forward.
But yeah. But yeah, go on.
What else? I'm not sure how these fan comics would depict it, because
I think I'm gonna look.
I am try to steer clear of like any and all fandoms for the most part. Even though the Avatar one is like one of the more chill ones. I thought that it was really well done, but I can also see the Game of Thrones influences there. And Game of Thrones, there's a lot of battle scenes that are just like that, just messy, just like people fucking swinging their weapons and fighting, and just like not shaky cam, but like swingy cam, where you know you see emotion and the motion dictates where that camera movement goes.
I found images of the comic. I'm trying to see if I can find the full thing so I can send it to you.
Sure thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, this terrified me way. This actually made me more uncomfortable than the Netflix one. But yeah, but even without comparing it, I think my stance on Gyatso's death still kind of stands. Like.
Oh yeah, agreed. Because I thought he was gonna do the Zahir technique.
Yeah.
We could have had a reprisal of Take My Breath Away.
Like, maybe, like, even if I were to say that the execution was more fine, I think my issue with Gyatso would still maintain itself, because that's me comparing something to the original to here. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I might be jumping a few hoops here, but, my biggest problem with this episode was just how quickly they ruled, they explained how Aang was the Avatar.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, you're special. And it could have been a number of different factors. They could have done like the show, like have Gyatso say, Aang, you selected the relics of the previous avatars. Like, we do that test on every air nomad kid whenever the air nomad is chosen for the avatar cycle. And that just doesn't happen, you know?
Yeah, it just does, because there are like 4 different artifacts specifically that represent.
It could have said that like when his tattoos, when he got his tattoos, that they started glowing. That could have been another indicator. There was a lot you could have done.
But like, there's those are the like, you know, the relics, the avatar states, or
even pull a Korra and just have him like maybe bend the other elements like randomly as a child, like not even noticing by accident. Yeah.
You know, because like at the end of the day, the rule is that they don't find out till they're 16, but people would still, but you know, the White Lotus Society would still know who the Avatar is.
Yeah, exactly, based on like, you know, the different factors.
Yeah, but that's not what happened here. They just like sort of guessed, and there's a lot of those moments in this show where it's like, oh, this person is like the Avatar, and it's like, we're ruling that out because he's, you know, he's just so talented, you know, he's so special, and it's like,
yeah,
I feel like, what if he isn't, you know? Wouldn't that be a little embarrassing?
Like, there have been exceptional benders in the past, Toph being one of them. Is Toph the Avatar now? Did the cycle skip 2 whole nations to go to Toph? No.
Yeah, it's subverted our own
expectations. She's just an exceptional bender. In the Kyoshi comics, there was a character who was mistaken to be the Avatar, and his power over earthbending was so precise and so refined that he could bend mud like if it was water, and literally swim through the earth.
You know, it probably would have been fine if they couldn't explain anything. Maybe they couldn't have just not have them know it's Aang, you know? And just have Aang discover he was the Avatar on his own. Like, that could be a change that they could have implemented. Like, I'm just saying, like, you know, instead
and then at the end of the episode, have him go on the Avatar state and have him, like, confirm that. You could have Grand Gun in the beginning say, oh, this is the Avatar. the last Avatar was supposed to be an air nomad, and this is an air nomad. It has to be him.
Yeah, because like because we didn't get to see the Avatar state till like till the Southern Air Temple, but before it's like it was when he escaped Zuko, and
Right.
we didn't even get to see that here. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
them not knowing that he was the Avatar was just like it's still a guess.
As for the Southern Air Temple section, when Aang comes back, I can see why they didn't adapt the whole episode, because we already explained, parts of air nomad culture via that first initial scene of Aang hanging out with Gyatso and the Comet Festival and all that. So I can see them not putting in like the effort to adapt Airball, you know. But
Yeah.
I will agree, it went by really quickly, and Katara just basically had no role in that moment. And that was an important moment because it was Katara solidifying that Aang, we are here for you. We're your family. You're not gonna go through this alone.
Yeah.
Sokka and I are here for you. And in this one, Sokka and Katara were just in awe. They were just hanging on to a random ass root that was in the ground, as Aang was going crazy, and then he remembered Monkey Yatso, and that's how he calmed down.
Yeah. And I know the reason why they're here, because even if you didn't want to repeat this, they needed to come here to get Momo. Which is funny, because Momo...
That's true. Well, not only that, but it's also just a big moment for Aang, him realizing that his culture has
but
essentially died.
But he kind of already knew that because of Grand's explanation, so it's like they didn't even need to go to the Southern
True, but
Temple.
he would need that confirmation. Like
Yeah.
Aang, I don't see being the type of person to just believe someone at face value when it comes to that. I feel like he would need confirmation that
You're
his
right.
culture actually died.
Especially if it's coming from an old lady. Who knows what kind of diseases she's having.
She got the dementias, all 200 of them.
But yeah, I think you enjoyed this episode more than I did. I ended up giving this episode
yeah.
a 4 for me.
I would give this a 5 or a 6, to be honest, because I
Yeah.
felt like it was a great introduction for each of the characters. I felt
Oh yeah,
Aang was willing to do.
that I do agree. Still, there were still moments. There were definitely moments I liked. I liked the fight sequence between Zuko and Sokka. I liked
That was great too.
I do. This was a good first impressions I had with Aang, Katara, Sokka, Zuko, and Iroh.
I like that they made the Southern Water Tribe, or at least Wolf Cove, a bit more competent. Like, them throwing rocks and bones and whatnot, not gonna do much. But obviously, like, the kids would have done that anyway. They just didn't do that in the show for whatever reason.
Because they were terrified.
Yeah, probably.
They didn't do that for some reason because they were shitting themselves.
Probably. Who knows? Fear? The fuck is that?
Here they like pulled a Return of the Jedi and had Ewoks throwing rocks at stormtroopers. That's kind of what they did here.
Yeah, but it would make sense that, they would do that, and then Zuko would say, like, okay, man, we're going to burn this village to the ground then. And have Aang then say, hey, if I surrender myself to you, you'll leave these people alone. And then Zuko, because he's not evil,
He's not a
would have just said,
monster.
exactly, he's not a monster. He would have been like, I bet. Cool, let's go.
Yeah, but that was episode 1. Episode 2, Warriors.
The only episode that adapted only one episode.
No,
Technically
we
two.
You're right, because the
They only had like one moment from that one episode of Book 2 where Kyoshi takes over Aang.
Yeah,
But that's it!
That's about it. But like, yeah, for the most part, this is one of the more focused episodes. Once we get to episode 3 is when we start really hamming in the issues with the cramming episodes. Warriors was okay. I think I like. This is probably. I'm not gonna spoil what's my favorite episode, but this is just right behind it. I think this is probably the second best episode. Which is funny because it started off a little rough, mostly with the acting.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, it was just a blanket you miss it type of thing. Like, when Suki attacks everyone, like, their acting was just top tier.
Yeah. Sokka being like, hey, while he's pointing his arm out, not even noticing the hoochie and bright green and theater paint mask, face paint, whatever, judo throwing him over her shoulder.
I will say this gives me the opportunity to reveal my spicy hot take regarding a specific subject, because it's supposedly here that the Sokka sexism gets resolved in the original, but here, as we mentioned, it doesn't happen. But I
I
think
mean,
me liking this episode, or at least like me, favoring this episode a lot more than the others, kind of confirms how I felt about the news regarding Sokka's sexism. I know I said that there were red flags at the red flags, but I feel like I was one of the few people that didn't seem to have that big of an issue or did not react negatively towards the removal of Sokka's sexism compared to
mhm,
others. I was hearing a lot of reactions towards it, and
mhm.
I personally would not have removed it for it's because it's a more intriguing story. It's a character flaw,
Mhm.
Otherwise,
Not only that, but it also gives characterization to the Water Tribe and actually hints at something later on that happens at the end of book one, which
yeah,
is that
that's
female
true.
waterbenders in the North can't, use their bending for combat.
Because Whammon sucks. But anyway,
Oh, the whammy!
but but when it comes to Sokka in particular, I never thought his sexism was a character trait of his. Like when I personally, I wouldn't have removed it, but I wasn't annoyed when they announced that they were
It's not
removing
as
it.
inherent to him.
Yeah, I don't. It's not as inherent as many people are making them out to be, because that
Hmm.
conflict gets resolved so quickly, so early. You might as well not even have it in the first place. Sokka could have
Yeah.
Sokka could go through insecurities and self doubts, as as character flaws, but he doesn't have to be
Yeah.
sexist. You can still work, you can still flesh that out. People, and the thing is, this was like a lot of people's turning points for not supporting the series, and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, some of y'all need to chill the fuck out, all right? Like I get it, I wouldn't have removed it myself. But to say that this is an important character trait of Sokka is bullshit. It's always been bullshit. Because,
I can see why a lot of people were upset by it. Not that I agree with them. However, a lot of people, that make videos on Avatar: The Last Airbender and talk about how well the characters were developed and how well they were written. Aside from Zuko's redemption arc, they mentioned that Sokka went from someone who was a sexist pig to literally relying on women and the final battle. He relied mostly on Toph and Suki.
yeah.
So just in viewing videos like that, being reminded of that constantly, I can see why people were up in arms about that removal. And again, it's also something that is very sexism is definitely a part of the Water Tribe's culture. And even though the North and South might as well be different countries, well, they are, but like different cultures entirely. I mean, they do not. I mean, they are still related. They're still Water Tribe. There are going to be aspects of their cultures that intertwine. Like for example, Puerto Rico and Mexico, two completely different countries, two completely different cultures. However, because they have so much in common, and they're both part of Latin America, they have similarities.
Right.
So I can see why people were upset with that little aspect of that being removed, because they were probably afraid as well that the sexism arc that went on in the North would have been removed. Because if Sokka's
Yeah.
sexism was removed, then that's fair game for them to remove the sexism that happened in the North,
I never.
and that therefore takes away one of Katara's greatest moments in the
I
series.
guess this was me, but I never thought that.
I didn't think that either, but I can see why people thought that.
But the thing is, like, that I don't think that was many people. But a lot of the issues that I hear whenever I hear that part, whenever I hear that discussion, was never if the Water Tribe is gonna, the Northern Water Tribe is gonna remove that sexism. It's always that this was like an important aspect of Sokka's character, and that's
Hmm.
where I've like severely disagreed with. I liked what you just said about how Sokka at first was sexist in the beginning, but then he relied on Toph and Suki at the end. But again, oftentimes I just kind of forget that he was sexist in the beginning, or it's just
Same.
like an afterthought to me, which is why when I
Yeah.
heard about it, it didn't bother me. I don't
Yeah.
think, but the times I've heard other people talking about it, the Northern Water Tribe never came into discussion, and I think, at least speaking for myself, like I was like kind of expecting it to still be in that show anyway. So when it
Hmm.
started happening, I'm like, ah, yeah. There was a point where I was worried because it seemed Master Paco was being really friendly towards Katara. So I'm like, oh hell no, they removed sexism in this show too. But no. Then the moment she started talking to the women, she's like, oh yeah, we don't fight here. Women sucks. But I don't know. Like hearing the arguments of certain people regarding the subject, it was never about the North. It was always about Sokka in particular. And
Okay.
that's where my issue came in. And again, I wouldn't have removed it because it's still a good character flaw. Wow, good character trait being sexist. It was a good character flaw, and it's a good story to tell, especially in today's society. Like if it was good then, it's good now. So it's like I wouldn't have removed it.
Exactly. Like
But
sexism is something that is not gonna go away. There is always gonna be people that are sexist.
but
Whether or not they're the majority is another topic. However, it's something good to see. Like having a character that's sexist realize, hey, maybe this isn't okay.
but it being removed didn't really bother me. I don't know. It's like I
Same.
wouldn't have done it,
But it's
but
not his main trait. Like when you
I
think of Sokka's characteristics, you think of him as funny, resourceful, intelligent.
yeah.
You don't automatically go to he was sexist. No, that was an aspect of him, sure, but
Yeah, like
it wasn't him entirely.
when you just brought out the Suki and Toph thing, it did not cross my mind whatsoever. Like and I've rewatched the show so many fucking times, like especially the finale. It did not cross my mind, that connection. It's good, but like it never crossed my mind, which is why again never really been bothered by the removal. And here's the thing. I understood that it worked in the original with Sokka and Suki's relationship, but I actually like their dynamic here too. And it's like, so it just proves to me that it's like, you don't need the whole sexist dynamic for this relationship to work. It's not like this relationship got started because of the sexism. It's like, it's because they have a lot of mutual respect for each other. I like that they envy each other in some shape or form. I like they want to learn more about each other. I thought that the whole
There was
dynamic
definitely
was
a
super
lot.
cute.
Like you could do a lot to characterize Suki and make them a good couple.
Yeah.
And they did that in this show because they had such great chemistry.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them here.
They were awesome together. I love them.
And this actually, okay, even though I find moments dumb in this episode, like how they were like, he's the Avatar, and then Suki's like, that's impossible. If he was the Avatar, the shrine would be shining by now. And then the shrine like immediately starts shrining after that. Stupid.
Yeah.
Even though they were stupid
It
moments.
felt like literally, it wasn't even from the cartoon, but it felt like it was out of the cartoon.
Even though there were stupid moments like that, this felt genuinely well focused because this is one of the few episodes where it focused on the setting that we were on. We hardly even got to focus on Zuko and Zhao's conflict in this episode, which was the episode prior to Kyoshi Islands in the original. But instead, they were like, having Zhao coming over here on his own, and then Zuko trying to flank him from behind,
Yeah.
And then eventually them teaming up. Like, they still kept the story a lot more focused. I was worried that this was going to be the substitute to the Solstice because, Kyoshi kind of gave him the lecture of why he needed to go to the Northern Air Temple, and she did the whole shtick that Aang did with Roku in the original.
Yeah,
So
I was worried. I think you were worried too because I was on Instagram one time and I saw this one interview with the actress
yeah.
who played Kyoshi, and she had said that she plays a mentor role to Aang.
Yeah.
And you and I were worried
we
about
thought
that
that she
because we were
we
like,
thought she replaced Roku completely.
exactly. You could take the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, which is interesting because Roku isn't really the main mentor. Hate to jump ahead, but one episode focuses on Kyoshi, the other one focuses on Roku, and then we get to see Avatar Kuruk. So it's like all three of them are like sort of his mentor in some shape or form. It's not just Roku.
Okay, but I do like. Okay, wait. Go ahead.
Yeah, whereas in the original it was primarily Roku, Kyoshi second, and then the other two dead last.
Yeah. I do like that change though, and I'll explain why. So the thing about being able to call upon your previous lives for advice, that would have fixed a lot of problems within the actual show. Like you could have had moments where Aang was on Appa thinking trying to speak to Roku about how he should have gone back to Guru Patik to learn the Avatar state. They could have had a bunch of moments like that. Like, I don't know, but that's what I was thinking while watching the show, is that some of this that could be resolved by Aang just talking to Roku or talking to Kyoshi or whoever.
Right.
So I like that they limited it to only their specific shrines.
Yeah, no, I like that change too because like in the original it was supposed to be like his shrine at a specific time, but
Yeah. And even though I like Roku and Kyoshi, I feel like this change is important because this helps Aang become more of his own character. And that was a change that I also liked within Korra, where because Korra was not a very spiritual avatar, she struggled with communicating with her past lives. Hell, she only communicated with Aang once.
Yeah.
And it was at the end of book 1.
And before it got ripped away in book 2. So she
It
couldn't even...
literally ripped away in book 2. So
Yeah, I like the
I like this.
I like the limitations because it'd be more convenient. It's more convenient for them as opposed to just, hey, if I could, I would, you know.
Like
Especially
another one. Aang could have learned how to deal with the Avatar stage just by talking with Roku.
I don't know about
And,
that one because Roku did explain to him what would happen, but I don't know.
Yeah, he did explain what would happen if he died, but he never really showed him like how to control it or
yeah.
anything like that.
I need to get back into the show because I'm pretty sure there were limitations of when Aang could talk to them because in the Promise there was a medallion that he got that he burned in the end of it that was used so he could specifically talk to specific avatars of the nation, especially with Roku. So I'm
Yes,
th-
but
sure,
if I remember correctly in the comics, he later talks to Roku. It was just a symbolic thing. Like he just stopped asking him for advice.
Yeah, like but he burned the medallion as like a.
No, yeah, he did.
I had to
But
look.
it was more of a symbolic thing.
I had to look back into it because I'm pretty sure there were some limitations, but like off the top of my head, I just can't really think of it. I know.
I mean, aside from being in a spiritual location and focusing, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. But I did like the change as well. Like it's more it's more of a convenience if anything, and it's not something that it's like he could just do out of whim. There was one, but there is one thing that sort of removes the tension of it, but we'll get to that when we get to the masks episode. But yeah, all in all, not a bad episode. Kind of enjoyed this. Kind of enjoyed this one.
Yeah, same.
Zhao was played by a comedian.
Yes.
I will never get over that.
Okay, can we talk about Zhao?
Sure.
Real quick. So I wasn't a big fan of Zhao in the original series. I thought he was just kind of a. I love Jason Isaacs as a voice actor, but I thought that Zhao in the original show was just kind of this generic villain guy, and this actor, I forget what his name is, the guy who played Zhao in the live action show,
I'll look at
gave Zhao so much more charisma. And even though I'm not a big fan of how the change that they made to him in the end were, I like his charisma and I like his timing, especially his comedic timing and his sarcasm. Like, they were just really good.
Yeah, I think because he had... Okay, his name is Ken Leung, by the way.
If Azula's actress had an ounce of that charisma, or was allowed to have an ounce of that charisma, she would have been a much better character.
Definitely. So his name is Ken Leung, and I think because of his comedic routine, he was able to bring a lot of personality into it. I'm not going to say he was an entire upgrade towards the original Zhao, because there were still like moments within original Zhao that I still prefer over this one. For instance, like the speech. Yeah. Like, again, hate to go forward, but that speech was so shit in this series as opposed to his actual speech in the original show. I do like his personality, and I think it comes with the charm. I just find it funny that they casted him, since he mostly does comedic roles, stand-up comedies, and this is like the least funny character you could ever think to, to cast him, It's like, this is like the least funny character he's played, period.
But it also shows his range as an actor, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I like that, because a lot of actors, they also fall into that, typecast type situation. Amanda Seyfried, for example, she played the dumb girl in Mean Girls, Karen.
Oh, of course.
And for a while, she was literally Karen, but that was dumb as shit. But for a while, she was casted as, these dumb roles, these dumb girl roles, and she wasn't really a fan of that.
Okay.
So I like that he was able to like break out of that typecast, not just because he was a comedian, but out of his own merits.
Right. But yeah, decent episode, I'd say. There's not really a whole lot that I can say other than the moments that I liked, per se, but just note that the entire show just goes completely downhill for these next 2 episodes. Omashu.
Yeah.
Good God, what a mess.
Fuck this episode.
Okay, so...
I should have brought wine up here.
For a while...
I needed alcohol to talk about this episode.
For a while, this was my least favorite episode, but another one kind of took its spot when I rewatched this show, but this one is still kind of garbage. This is where the cramming gets worse. Okay, so where to begin? Okay, so Omashu, Teo.
Well, we have to.
Well, okay. Well,
Go ahead.
let me say the third one for later. So we're in Omashu. Teo's in this episode because they see him flying around like in his glider.
Mhm.
This is already fucking everything up. So
Yeah.
Teo, the reason why he had a glider in the original was because he lived in the Northern Air Temple, and the reason why they were in the Northern Air Temple was because it was basically lifeless. It was an empty shell, like a little hermit crab. They found a little home, you know. So they found this empty shell and they made it their home. That is literally a quote from the show. And here they're literally living in Omashu. The glider doesn't get explained how he got the inspiration to make it, because, you know, how would he have a glider in the first place? And I don't know, I find it really stupid that he would be helping the Fire Nation spies when Omashu is still one of the biggest Earth Kingdom citizens. It's like, oh no, they're gonna destroy the whole city. Cool. That was supposed to be their plan. It shouldn't be negotiable that they'll spare Omashu if you give them plans, you know? Like, regardless if they give them plans, yeah, but it's like, you know, I don't know, them sparing Omashu.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It was just kind of you kind of wrote yourself into a hole there, because Omashu in the original series was one of the last, you know, great Earth Kingdom strongholds. It was one of the few Earth Kingdom towns that we saw that was actually thriving.
And when it fell in the original, they literally said that now only Ba Sing Se remains standing. And here's the thing. And so here's the thing. Even if they were to delay, you know, whatever frontal assault shit they wanted to do with Omashu because of Sai's, like, inventions.
By the way, the Mechanist is called Sai now, which is a welcome change.
It's whatever. I don't care.
I prefer it over calling him just a Mechanist. Yeah, that's a lot of people wondering, what the fuck is this bastard's name?
Yeah, that's fine. But, like, again, I don't really care. Regardless, I find it dumb that he believes that his invention was gonna delay some, like, you know, stop them from attacking Omashu, when I'm pretty sure when their entire goal is to take down Omashu, is to take over Omashu. It just feels very dumb. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Because, like, regardless, I feel like it was gonna come back to bite him in the ass, which is funny because they gave him the, you know, the plans of the air balloon, which they eventually use in the season 1 finale, in this finale. But, like, this wouldn't happen if you didn't give them your inventions, because you would think that they would stop their attack on Omashu. I don't know. It's just so dumb. And this entire exposition that Bumi, like, allowed corruption to happen is also bad. And I also, again, don't want to skip to the next episode, but it leads to my biggest problem with Bumi's character in this show.
I mean, it is part of this episode. Should we get into it?
Not yet. I want to save it to Into the Dark, because, like, that's where the Boomy conversation really comes into play. Like I said, this one and the next one could be kind of interchange. Like, they're kind of a part 1 and part 2 type of thing.
Yeah.
They really felt like connected.
Honestly, and this goes against what I originally said when we watched this episode. I feel that the Mechanist plotline was something that just could have been dropped.
I agree, if not delayed to, like, a different episode. Or,
to, like, book 2 or something.
Look, because, like, I understand why they wanted the Mechanist here, because he, you know, the air balloon stuff.
He made the war balloons.
Exactly, like, which becomes, like, kind of a pivotal thing in book 3, especially. But...
But you could have easily just explained that to be, like, a Fire Nation scientist, or, like, have him captured, and he's just, like, you know, making the war balloons.
You know,
he invented it by himself.
Ironically, there are changes into this show, but this is one of those things where I think it could have benefited from such changes.
This. Like,
yeah.
This could have been, like, Haru.
Yeah, like, combining the Haru plotline. Combine the Haru plotline by having the father... Yeah, by having the father get kidnapped.
Exactly. Or not even that, just have Haru's home be the home that Team Avatar stays in while they're in Omashu.
Right.
It could have been just as simple as that, like a simple ass adaptation, and then just have a throwaway line that we escaped from a prison camp.
Yeah. But the entire Teo thing was a fucking mess. And the other plot line, while I like it more, it's not that much better. So, Jet is in here. Which, It's fun. Okay, I will say this. I liked how he appeared. I thought his, introduction
The
was.
actor is great.
Yeah, his introduction was very funny. It was very humorous. I didn't connect the dots until we actually see him do stuff. So it's like, when we got to see the costume and the hook swords, that's when I was like, Jet's here. Cool. And I really enjoyed his side more. Like, I think. What were your thoughts on the character in the original?
So in the original, when I first saw Avatar, I didn't really like Jet. I thought it was just kind of meh. I didn't see the appeal. The next time I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm starting to see the appeal, but I still don't like him. Like out of the Avatar character of the week characters, Jet was not one of my preferred ones. Um, but in this show, I feel like because the actor is so charismatic and he brings so much personality and liveliness to this character, you can see why he is the way he is. Like you can see that manipulation aspect. You can see that cunning, that charisma that led everyone to following him. Because in the original, it just felt so obvious that he was a villain.
Yeah.
Maybe because I
So,
saw it as a teenager and you saw it as a kid, it could be
to be fair,
different, but
to
as a
be
teenager, like
fair,
I saw that shit and I was like, this dude is obviously evil.
To be fair, as
I
a
don't
kid,
trust him at all.
to be fair, I wouldn't really take my opinion as a kid seriously because I was just more invested with the hook swords and shit and how they like. I think one of my favorite things about Jet was that they even advertised that he was coming back in book 2. Like they had a whole commercial based off of it. It's like fucking lost media at this point because I can't even find a single commercial anymore. I was able to find that one and send it to a friend of mine, but. It got taken down, and like I should have way backed it,
No.
Whatever. I should have way backed it, but whatever. But I've always liked Jet but like I've grown to appreciate him more as I got older, and I realized the psychology towards his character. I understand that he's like. Because back then I just liked him because he looked cool and he has the hook swords and shit. But now it's like I see him as like a tragic character, And I hope y'all didn't expect spoilers from the original show. I hope y'all expected spoilers from the original show watching this. But leading up to like his role, like losing everything to the Fire Nation, him having to take a bunch of kids and lead them on his own without an authority figure like Iroh or Gran, made me empathize with his corruption, with his how fucked up he is. Like I kind of understood why he is this way. Obviously, flooding villages is not cool, but if y'all can see Azula having redemption, you can see Jet having redemption.
Exactly.
I've always liked the character, but I think watching this, I think I understand now why some people couldn't vibe with him, or why he wasn't always everyone's favorite. To me, he was my favorite character of the day. Hell, I'll even say he's probably my favorite minor character, actually, like side character. So like,
Yeah, I was
gonna
not
say
minor, but yeah, definitely side character.
yeah, side character. Yeah, because I was like, because outside of the original cast, I hold Jet to like a much higher regard than most, and it's because of this tragic storyline, and it's because his redemption arc in book 2. But I think he lacked. I don't want to say charm, but it's like he lacked. Oh my god, I had the word when we were watching.
Nuance?
No, he lacked empathy. I would say.
Yeah.
Because like in the original, he was always just angry, and if not angry, just kind of
cool.
kind of like a a snotty rich kid, kind of, which is ironic given the state that he is in.
Yeah, not really rich kid, but like snotty. Definitely that snotty.
And I think I understand, and I think I know why it's so different. Because originally Jet was just that, the character of the day in the original. Him
like
coming,
Pookie and Haru.
yeah, him coming back was like a thing that the creators wanted to do and explore, and more so from a world building standpoint. And I think because the Netflix creators know that they're gonna have to kill him off in the next season, I think they want him to be somewhat likable. So that we'll actually feel sad for him when he dies. Because I felt sad when I found out that he was dead. And this is coming from someone who also was, like, unsure if he died originally. When I found out a bit later, or looking at back in hindsight, it got me. But obviously, people are different. Some people liked him a lot, but others not so much. I'm curious to see how they're going to handle him in Season 2. Because I do like his interpretation a lot. But yeah, but besides, yeah, so that's why I feel like they made him more likable in this one. Because I think they want that, inevitable death scene to really stand out. And I think it's going to have a much bigger impact towards Katara's character and Smellerby's character. Considering that Smellerby becomes the new leader and, we never really got to explore Smellerby's character.
Yeah.
However, but back to this episode, Jet's motivation is kind of whack.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just the motivation or just the actions or both.
I think it's mostly we don't get to see enough. So so there's Fire Nation spies in Omashu. They've infiltrated Omashu, and Jet's like luring them out. But the problem is that with the exception of the Fire Nation spies that we see when they do fight them, it doesn't seem like there's any more. Or we don't know because we only see that dude that they follow, and then they take him out, and definitely fucking kill them. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, what's next? And then next thing you know, he wants to kill Sai, but he wants to do it in a way where he kills King Boomy and a bunch of other important people. And it's like, what's your end goal here? Before it was like you wanted to flood Gaipan because it was an area that was already overrun by the Fire Nation. So it's like you're wiping them all out. Yeah, people are gonna get hurt, as people are gonna die during that attack too, but you're accomplishing something.
Still innocent, people. They're like, Fire Nation little girl number 200 didn't do diddly squat to Jen. This family didn't contribute to anything. She was just a little girl.
Yeah, and it's
with
like,
her dolly.
And it's like, regardless, he had a goal, and there were going to be results if he succeeded in the original. Here, I don't understand what was even accomplishing. It just sort of feels, I don't know. Maybe, and this is also the fact that we don't get to see a lot of them. It's only been told to us that there's Fire Nation spies, but to me, fucking terrorism just feels a little extreme. Even for Jet.
I mean, we do see technically 3 of them. That one guy and his 2 backup goons.
Yeah, but that's
But even then, they made him so obvious. It's the only guy wearing fucking red, and he's wearing this big ass red cloak.
Even Zuko and Iroh
in a city where everyone's just wearing browns and greens.
Even Zuko and Iroh didn't even.
Even they disguised themselves. They were wearing browns.
I mean, and that's which is hilarious because they didn't even bother disguising Aang in this episode, which the original made it clear that it's like, hey, it's gonna be dangerous if people find out you're the Avatar, so let's just hide you, because there's no other Airbenders lurking around here. But here his arrows are like fucking. He's whipping those arrows out,
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand why they didn't have him disguised in this one because, Omashu is again one of the last Earth Kingdom strongholds. So I can see why he would feel more comfortable being out in his natural outfit, even though in the original he did disguise himself
as Pippin Paddleopsicopoulos the third.
The third.
But unfortunately, but unfortunately, that character has been relegated to a doll. But oh well.
Yeah.
But
the name lives on.
Yeah. I don't like this episode.
I hated it.
I really did not like it. There were too many plot lines just go all around. They crammed way too much in this episode. And spoiler alert, it gets worse with the next one.
Fuck the next episode.
So,
the next episode's ass.
Yeah, I didn't like Teo's thing. It just made no sense. And while I like what they did with Jets as far as performance-wise and making him more likable, I can't. His storyline just makes no fucking sense, and a lot of stuff gets resolved so fucking quickly, which is funny because it's like a part 1 of 2. I feel. And yet they still manage to wrap things up. Certain arguments gets reserved for the next episode and gets temporarily resolved here.
Could have had his own episode. They could have just done Omashu as its own thing. Welcome to Omashu as its own episode. And then dedicate the next one.
That's what I thought they were gonna. That's what I thought they were gonna do. I made a prediction.
They could have done that.
I made a prediction before. Before the show came out, and I wrote them down. I thought
Into the Dark was gonna be a Jed-centric episode.
I genuinely thought it was. I genuinely thought because I'm thinking to myself okay. So here's what I said. Into the Dark was going to be focused on Jet, and ironically, I said the North was going to be focused on Teo, because we would be at the Northern Air Temple, but the end of the episode they would arrive at the Northern Water Tribe. That's what I said, and I think that would have made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's not what happened. Anyway, this episode sucks. 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Warriors is a 6. I gave it a 6. But
Yeah, same. We give it about a 6 or 7, maybe.
okay, Into the Dark is the fucking worst episode ever. So
Hands down.
it's I gave it a pass, kind of. Like I gave it like originally I was like, okay, this entire episode was shit, but the Iroh stuff was good, and while I still feel that way, the Iroh stuff was not enough to carry this. And it made me realize
Yeah,
like,
you can polish a turd with gold, but it's not gonna. It still doesn't change the fact that it's just a fucking turd.
I will say the Iroh stuff is good. I did like that the Earth Kingdom dude that was taking him to the gulag, I guess, had a personal vendetta against Iroh because, you know, he lost his brother in the siege of Ba Sing Se. And after Iroh lost his son, he gave up the war. The flashback scenes with Zuko and Iroh during Liu Ten's funeral and Zuko's banishment were done phenomenally well. It's like I said, Iroh and Zuko were very well casted. Iroh himself was perfect. He had the emotions. He's got the jolly personality. I love everything about this actor playing Iroh, and he stole the spotlight. It got to the point where I was like, I couldn't really hate this episode as much because of it, but that was the only praise I could give that episode.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Everything else was terrible. First of all,
I hate how they adapted Boomy.
Yeah. First of all, Jet kind of gets, taken care of in like 5 seconds.
By Katara, yeah.
Teo and Sai barely show up in this episode, which is ironic given the fact that they find out that he was selling weapons to Fire Nation spies.
Yeah, there's like no repercussion towards that.
There's no repercussions, and it gets resolved quickly. Unlike in the original, where they actually where he stopped helping them, and he helped take them down. Like get them out of here. There's none of that stuff here. Like, sure, like at the end, he's like, "Hey, Boomy, there were some Fire Nation spies here, but I bet you didn't tell him that you were helping him, fucker. He would have been executed." But yeah,
especially with this fucking Boomy. I don't like what they did to this Boomy. This Boomy is just disillusioned and weird.
Not to mention the whole corruption thing that Jet brought up in the last episode doesn't really seem to make sense because Boomy seems more stressed about the responsibilities of a leader, which wouldn't be the case if he was like, I don't care, let everything burn, It's like, what, was he aware of the Fire Nation invading Omashu? Because it didn't seem like it by the ending. It's like they have the wackiness of Boomy, but they didn't understand what made him so likable in the original. Because he was crazy, but his test,
he was smart. He just thought differently. He was creative.
He doesn't show people he doesn't show people that side. Like, he just acts like a goofball, but it's like, he's still helping in some shape or form. In the original, the 3 tests were like, get me this key give me a key for my lunchbox that's hidden inside this waterfall. Get me help me get my pets, and then duel. All 3 are completely different things, and then the last one is just a funny one, just like, okay, what's my fucking name?
Yeah.
It's like he's random, but it's like he's helping Aang adapt to different responsibilities. When he's the king, when Omashu fell, he saw it was a lose opportunity, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna give up.
This is a good time to practice neutral Jing.
And exactly. Like, wait for the opportunity to strike. When the eclipse came in, that was Boomy's, time to take back Omashu, which he did, and nobody could do anything because they can't firebend. He's a mad genius.
He is.
And
I also hate what they did with the actor who played Boomy. I put his name here in the chat.
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that.
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that either. But they gave him the actor. If you look him up, he's not that old. He's like maybe in his 50s. I don't know how old he is, but he looks like he's in about his 50s. And they gave him like all these random ass like face prosthetics to make him look old. But then they had the fight scene with Boomy where he takes his shirt off, and it's like you see this like middle-aged dude's body with an old ass man head, and it felt jarring. It didn't feel.
God damn, he's 40.
He's 40?
Dude, he looks so young. God damn.
Whatever. They gave him like a bunch of prosthetics in his
He's
face.
so
I get.
young. Why did they cast him as Boomy? I mean, I get
If
it.
they wanted to make him older, like I understand, like maybe like give him liver spots or
Yeah,
some wrinkles here and there, but
I get that they couldn't cast an 80-year-old because they might break them by accident.
they
But
can't cast a 112-year-old either.
yeah, they're mostly you could cast their corpse maybe, but but yeah, no, I don't like Boomy in this episode. He's just so unlikable. He's so bitter about everything. He just seems like he's just angry. Like he looks like he unironically doesn't touch enough grass. Like I don't know. I really don't.
Hurt.
Like at least like in the original, he was still likable and charming despite his crazy antics. And Boomy was never one of my personal favorite characters, but I still enjoyed him. But I hate him in this episode. And
same.
And then on top of that, they'd had the balls to include the Cave of Two Lovers in this episode too, which feels wrong.
Wait, let's say you cut off for a second.
The Cave of Two Lovers.
Ah! Fuck that shit! Nah!
This felt so wrong, because it's like, dude...
First off, you had Sokka and Katara there instead of,
not Katara and Aang. Which, by the way,
And it's in book 1 rather than in book 2. They should have waited for book 2, because, like, by then, Aang's actor would be older and it would look less creepy. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I just don't see them getting together based on the direction.
Not in the show, yeah. I just, because, Katara's actor, she's like, what, 18 and Aang's actor
was actually 12, yeah.
Yeah, so I would understand if they waited for, like, them to be together as, like, a post-credit thing, like, when the two... Like, have two actors that are older play them or something like that.
Maybe, but it's like, I don't know. But, like, okay, slight spoiler, there's absolutely no romantic tension between these two, like, at all. Like,
none whatsoever.
They're almost like just chill friends. Which, if y'all are Katang haters, like, two people that
rejoice. Because,
rejoice,
yeah, two people that we know rejoice because they have no chemistry here. And in this case, it would actually be pedophilia.
I wouldn't say they have no chemistry. I think it's just.
It's not that they don't have any chemistry. They just don't have romantic.
They just don't have that chemistry. They have a good friendship chemistry, but they're not fucking.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. The KO 2 lovers just feels wrong because first of all, the legends are about two lovers, but instead two siblings are going in.
Yeah, and I get that there's different types of love, but in this case, it was romantic.
It's
love.
actual like romantic love. Also, Shu dies in the legend instead of Oma.
And they're both women in this one, which is like
we got lesbos.
The lesbonims. The thing about but that's also like a huge contradiction because the thing about the Earth Kingdom in the Korra comics, they were stated that the Earth Kingdom was next to the Fire Nation, the most homophobic kingdom. They weren't about that shit.
Yeah.
It was actually the most homophobic until Sozin's time, where, he, like, said, ew, the gays, no.
Ew. But those those air nomads dig that shit, which I find hilarious.
They were just fucking everybody.
Which I find hilarious because I feel like the monk. I don't remember where I heard.
Monks detach themselves from sexuality. Detach themselves from like their earthly tethers.
Yeah.
It would make the most sense for if you're gonna pick one. It would have made the most sense for like literally any of the other ones besides the freaking
air
what's
nomads.
It called? Besides the air nomads, yeah.
Yeah,
hell, it would have made even less sense with the Water Tribe because the Water Tribe is sexist. Because of their whole, because in the comics, the Water Tribe was basically don't ask, don't tell. Like they were cool with it, but just like don't you're not gonna see any gay pride parades there.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're not celebrating that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But
like it would have made. Funnily enough, it would have made more sense in the Earth Kingdom, but in the comics, that's the most homophobic one. So
also like I think it makes sense that Oma being the man that dies in the war, whereas the woman was the one that was like in anguish, and then her rage was the one that created Omashu.
Yeah,
just kind of fits better because not every woman got to participate in war. Instead, it was like a man thing. And so the man dying in the war is like something that does happen, especially in real history.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that with Earth Kingdom soldiers. There weren't any women. The only female warriors from the Earth Kingdom were the Kyoshi warriors.
And then
And the only country that had, as you were saying,
Nation, yeah.
the Fire Nation, yeah, they were the only ones that had, they were pretty much the most egalitarian when it came to that shit because they had male and female characters.
Even the water tribes were all male.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the South, it even said, even when like in the first intro of the first episode, Katara said, "My dad and the men of my tribe left to fight this war. Not the adults like the men and the women. No, the men only of my tribe."
But the women and the children too, and the children too,
and the children.
Anyway, no, we're not sexist. Stop it.
I don't think anyone's gonna think that unless you're like brain dead. But
I don't know. Last of Us Part 2 discussions really changes a motherfucker.
Oh, well, I wasn't a part of that discussion.
Good. So in other words, you had a better life than me.
No, but
this episode sucks.
They brought back the guy that did the
we didn't get to talk about this, but both Cabbage Guy and Secret Tunnel Guy were by the same people who voiced them in the original.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah, they were
mad respect.
They were good. They were good fan service. Too bad this episode sucks mad pee and it's easily the worst episode. Omashu takes the silver medal as being the other dog shit episode. 3 out of 10.
Can we also talk about another thing? In the Cave of Two Lovers, fucking the resolution wasn't even love. The resolution was tell the badger mole what to do.
To be fair, that was how Sokka got out in the original.
Okay, but no.
Oh yeah, but they did play. They played the music. They played the music
because badger moles love music.
Yeah, you're right.
They even did that resolution in fucking Korra in the last episode. They had fucking Woo's bitch ass.
Oh my god,
singing
I
and dancing like a
forgot
dumbass.
about that. Oh Jesus, you're right. Yeah, no, 3 out of 10. This episode sucks.
This episode is booty cheeks. Fuck this episode. It's hairy booty cheeks.
I'm excited for this one because this is the one that I was talking about at the beginning. Spirited Away. You hated this episode way more than I did, and I've grown to also kind of dislike this episode too because. At first, I was like, I didn't have too much to say about it. Like, I thought the cameos that we got here, like Wan Shi Tong and Ko, like Wan Shi Tong being here was weird. The talking Yue Fox was whatever. The changes they did to the spirit world, I wasn't like too affected by it. But then I
Yue is a furry confirmed.
But, like, I think I've grown to, like, understand your side, and I'm kind of agreeing with it now the more I'm thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spirit world thing was a little bit weird, and I think they did ruin Ko, which...
Yeah, so... There's a lot of problems that I had with this. Oh, wait, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll finish my point. My biggest problem was that they, Ko stole Heibai's spotlights.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is your spotlight. This is all of you. You have... I think you have a lot to say about this episode.
And this episode, it basically starts off the same as, Winter Solstice Part 1. The gang arrives at this burnt-ass forest, and Aang is sad because he's the Avatar and he couldn't protect this forest. And Katara gives him hope that the forest will reemerge again because they find a little acorn. And then they meet up with Heibai and they do all that spirit world shenanigans. So... In the original show, it was Sokka and Aang that went into the spirit world. Sokka because he was kidnapped by Heibai, and Aang because, well, he's the Avatar and he needed a way to get into the spirit world in order to communicate with the spirit. Mm-hmm. And I'm totally fine with all of the gang being in the spirit world. It's fine. It gives Aang someone to bounce off of while he's there. The problem is on how they did it because instead of Heibai kidnapping them, because they were in the vicinity of Aang meditating, Katara and Sokka got into the spirit world as well, which is whatever.
Yeah, that one in particular I thought was weird, but I didn't want to make a big fuss about it.
I guess I should be near a fucking priest to see what heaven is like next time he's fucking praying.
I thought you were going to say I should be next to someone who's dying to know what heaven looks like.
That too, shit.
But, like, yeah, I think this is the episode where we really started, like, discussing the creative differences, which may have been, a lot of the changes that they did was definitely started here. Because, like, the rest of them, they were more, like, they were just more, like, trying to rush story beats and cram it together.
They were just trying to combine stories together.
Yeah, this one is where they started changing the rules and shit.
Wan Shi Tong's bitch ass, big bird looking bitch, being here for no goddamn reason. He should be in his fucking library. The fuck is he doing here? How are we gonna explain this shit in the library episode?
I find it fun, assuming there even is going to be a library episode, because Zhao found out about the fucking fishy thing.
Yeah, he found out about the fish without the library, which is. I didn't like that change either.
Yeah,
Fuck
it's like this
shit.
was the episode where we started really realizing the creative differences that the original creators may have had that led them to leave working for them.
They literally had one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because like we had the whole spirit world thing where we dragged Katara and Sokka in with them, which, like I said, I didn't think too much of it, but like, yeah, that could have been something that kind of ruined the change.
Yeah, Wan Shi Tong is just here because, ta-da! It's Wan Shi Tong, your favorite, right?
If anything, Wan Shi Tong being here bothered me that Yue's thing was a fox.
Yeah, like, because Yue could have been that introductory spirit shit.
Yeah, and plus, the whole fox thing was like, didn't Wan Shi Tong like have a bunch of foxes in his library?
That's true. He had like a bunch of foxes as like acolytes kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were his.
So I find it weird.
They collected knowledge from him.
Yeah, so I find it weird that it's like, oh, of all the forms that Yue could have taken, it's the fox when Wan Shi Tong made a cameo and shit. But
Yeah, honestly, if you wanted to go through the route of like East Asian mythologies, the more accurate form for like a moon spirit would be a rabbit. But that's a whole nother topic of discussion.
That's a whole nother debate.
Yeah, exactly. Yue being there, I'm fine because it gives her more characterization.
Yeah, more stuff to do, really.
Because Yue in the original was kind of generic princess who, oh Sokka, I like you, let's go on a date. They go on the date. I can't be with you. Run away.
I never liked.
And I was just, and it's not that I hated Yue in the original. I didn't. I just thought she was just kind of.
She was
just meh.
She was kind of. I'm gonna be real with you. I think out of like the named characters, I wouldn't. I given some thought. I think Yue might have been my least favorite character in the original. If I'm being real.
Really?
Either her or Master Paku. One of those two.
That's very curious.
Yeah, because Master Paku was just kind of. Like, I understand it's... Yeah, he's just a dickhead, and how it got resolved with him was just because, oh, wow, you were wearing the necklace of the woman I wanted to fuck,
You have Grandra's Netflix account!
So when I saw that, he's like, oh, wow, you have this necklace. All right, I guess I'll train you. I mean, I still hate women, but I'll train you.
Yeah!
Yeah, like,
exactly,
I didn't like how that got resolved originally. And I don't know, Yue was just annoying. She's like... Exactly, you kind of pulled it off. It's like, Sokka, I love you so much, but we can't be together. But I'm still boning you, like shit.
Exactly.
Like that.
Did you ever see you know who you in the original series reminded me of?
Who?
Did you ever see the old X-Men movies with Rogue in them?
Oh my fucking lord!
Fucking Yue is Rogue. She's like, I can't. I'm gonna like pull. This is an imitation that someone named Super Effective made on YouTube of how Rogue is in the movies. It's like, oh, I can't touch people because of my powers. So why don't you join me under the willow tree? Here, let me give you a kiss.
Oh my god, yeah.
Whoops. Right. How do I forget? I can't touch people. Oh. Yeah. That's you in the original.
Yeah, sounds about
Here
right.
She was a bit more sassy. She had more fun. She was cool.
She had more personality in this one for sure.
Yeah.
So at least like I'll give her credit for her being here. Gives her like something to do. That doesn't justify everything else though.
Yeah.
Like, let's get to the real problem with this.
Exactly. Fucking okay. Ko is in this, and Ko. A lot of people like Ko in the original because Ko is. He is a spirit, he's an evil spirit, and he has his own rules. He has his own rules that you have to play by, and that is, he will steal your face if you show emotion. It's very much about the concept of wuji, absence of emotion. And, that's a big thing in Taoist philosophy. So, having that represented was cool, and it also gave a unique edge to a villain. Here, Ko doesn't have that. He just lurks within the Fog of Lost Souls, which is from Korra, where he uses the hallucinations of people's worst fears to sort of prey on them and kidnap them, so that way he can eat them later and steal their face. Yeah. This just makes him into a generic monster. Instead of being Ko the Face, this like interesting and villainous creature.
He's
He's just
He's Ko the bitch.
he's Ko the bitch. He's just like
He's
monster
just
of the week.
he's just a centipede at the end of the day.
Exactly. And this could have been Heibai. This could have been you could have done something
Dude,
similar with
that's
Heibai.
the thing.
Just have Heibai.
That's the thing
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
bothered me the most. The fact that this is supposed to be a Heibai centric episode, and Heibai isn't even the main conflict of this. Like, you know, he's not the one stealing people to regain, like, to, you know, he's not stealing people as he was in the original because he was pissed about what happened to the forest.
Yeah, he's just in monster form, being like Unga Bunga.
He's just chilling there for some reason, and he's like, he's hurt, and then it gets resolved. Like, you know, it gets resolved so quickly here. Like, Aang leaves the acorn here, and then boom, no Heibai. You know?
Exactly. This could have been like Heibai kidnapping these people and using their spirit energy or whatever to fuel the regrowth of his forest.
Great.
This could have been done simple, easy as that. It would have been like an easy, quick resolution, and it could have been part of this episode and also adapting Winter Solstice Part 2 into it, and it could have been perfect. But instead, we get fucking random spirit adventures with random spirit monster and confirmation that the actual reason why Ko steals faces is because he wants to be close to his mother. Which, yeah, it was basically stated and, well, heavily implied, really, in the comics. And I think it was a search, if I remember correctly.
I believe it was, yeah. Okay. You're right. It was, the search established her, because, like, I know he appeared in North and Shadow. Mm-hmm. No, not North and Shadow. North and South. My bad. No, not Smoke and Shadow.
Oh,
it was North and South is the one that was focused on Katara's people, and he does, and he doesn't make an appearance, but one of the characters, his face is stolen by Ko. But that wasn't. But yeah, no. The mother of all faces appears in the search because she gave Ursa a different appearance.
That's right. Yeah,
I have to read them again because I don't remember too much from them. But I know she appeared in the comics. I don't know the entire shtick between Ko and...
Well, the thing is that he was mad at her or some shit, but he still wants to be close to her.
My mama took
but
my
it wasn't
away.
explicitly but it wasn't explicitly stated. It was just heavily implied, and here they just basically confirm it.
Does it feel weird that Roku is the one that sort of defeated Ko and not Kuruk?
Yes, it feels weird, and I don't like it. It should have just been that, like Kuruk. If they were gonna go that route,
because like Kuruk,
it should have been Kuruk who stole the artifaft.
Yeah, because
It doesn't make any sense for Roku to do that.
Yeah,
it would have made sense for Kyoshi, maybe.
No, I'll stand by. It would have made most sense if Kuruk did it because Kuruk.
No, but I'm just saying that Roku is the least. Like, the one that where it makes the least amount of sense.
Yeah, because, like, at least with Kuruk, like, he has beef with Ko. Like, he has the motivation to take down Ko. So it feels weird that a completely different avatar with little to no, like, interactions with Ko is the one to take him down.
No interaction in the original series,
No, actually, literally no interactions, you're right. But it's like, you know, and meanwhile, Kuruk, his entire ordeal was he wanted revenge because Ko stole the face of someone he loved.
Yeah, and this also takes aspects of the swamp, because in the swamp we have the gang seeing visions of people from their past, with the exception of Aang, who sees a vision of Toph. In this one, Aang not only sees a vision of his past, but he also meets up with Monk Gyatso in the spirit world, which is fucking weird. Because the thing about...
I like the scene, kind of, but yeah,
it's an emotional scene, and it's cute, and it's awesome, and I love Monk Gyatso's actor, but...
But I agree when you said that it cheapened his death.
It cheapened his death. It made it seem like he was just another person that Aang could come to for advice at any time. Makes it feel like the air nomads aren't all dead.
I don't know about that last part, because like at the end of the next episode, he's like kind of gone. It seems like he's.
I mean, yeah, he is. But when we saw it was just like I thought he was gonna be like a bodhisattva.
Yeah.
Where, for those who don't know, a bodhisattva is a Buddhist term. It basically refers to a person who can become a Buddha but chooses not to, and stays on Earth and remains in the cycle of reincarnation, so that way he can help other people achieve enlightenment, or she, or whoever, because Buddhists can be of all gender. But here it felt wrong that Gyatso did it. I mean, yeah, Iroh is in the spirit world by Korra's time, which is, it was cute, but Iroh is not Gyatso. Gyatso's significance is that he was Aang's main connection
We
to the
don't.
Air Helmet, and the
Never.
fact
We
that she's...
never knew how Iroh died in Korra. So like, there's still room
That's
for
another thing. He could have just been like, he could have just wandered into the spirit world meditating, just big chilling.
Yeah, like, so there's still interpretations to be made in Korra. Here, Gyatso's dead. Gyatso's fucking disintegrated. He is deceased. He is nothing but bones. We didn't talk about his burial. Fíjate.
His burial was cute. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved that scene.
All right, that was quick. Anyway.
But yeah, it felt wrong that he was there.
Yeah.
And it's cute that Aang tries to go back and, Monk Gyatso isn't there anymore. But
I will... Yeah, before
that's the only good thing about that scene, is that when Aang went back, he wasn't there. But Monk Gyatso should have never been there to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this, though. I understand the whole shtick with the swamp thing, but since we're here and we got the stuff that we did get, I think it's... I want to give my praise to something. I actually like the way they handled Kaya's death in this more than the original.
Ooh, same, 100%.
Yeah, so before in the original, and I'm not even saying that the original handled it poorly by any means, but there's a reason why I like this better. So, Young Ra, that's the name of the person that killed Katara's mom, he's looking for the last waterbender because their sources, the last waterbender in the Southern Water Tribe, since they were already wiped out by this point, their sources indicated that there was one more, which is Katara. As Kaya is protecting, in the original... Kaya just sort of tells him that it's her, and he just kills her, or takes her and then kills her. Mm-hmm. The point is, like, Yanra at no point verifies that it's true, or she's not pulling it out of her ass, And I'm fine with them being reckless and just being like, whatever, it's my paid job, I don't care, him doing whatever the fuck he wants. I'm fine with that. Ultimately. But I did like when in this one, the reason why I liked it more is because Katara did try to waterbend to protect her, and she uses that as an opportunity to say that she's the last waterbender, and she looks like she's about to strike at him before he obliterates her.
Yeah, she does a waterbending move, but because she's a non-bender, obviously nothing happened.
Yeah,
and he just fire blasts her.
But he wasn't going to take the chances and just kills her right out the bat. So to me, that was more believable that he believed Kaya was the last waterbender and not just pulling something out of her ass because he just killed her in the original. But here it's he had you could even argue he was defending himself, self-defense.
Exactly, he was defending himself because he thought that because Kaya said that she was the last waterbender, and he saw her do her little waterbend attack type situation. He was like, nah, patient, just flamethrow at her. He said Arcanine used flamethrower.
And going back to the violence discussion, this is one of those things where it's I did appreciate the violence that they were able to show. Yeah, it's not like we saw her disintegrate or anything, but we got to see what happened,
Yeah,
Which,
we got to see
honestly,
the fire blast itself hit her, and we saw Katara's reaction to it.
I've always interpreted that was exactly what happened to her in the original, that Yanra killed her in the spots, just based on line of dialogue and hints.
No, but just also the fact that it's partially Katara's fault because Katara tried to waterbend to help her mom.
Yeah,
and then when he saw the water move, he was like, "What the fuck? There's the last waterbender's definitely here.
Yeah,
who the fuck is it? Let me look through this whole thing."
And then
it was Kaya. Then said, "It's me. I'm the last waterbender."
Yeah, so I did like that. I don't know how... I guess the Sokka stuff can be kind of relatable, but I don't know. There's something about how they characterize Hakoda as being a little bit of a disappointed father that just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know.
Yeah, not only that, but how they handled Sokka's character here, because they're trying to steer him more as just a tactician.
Instead of a warrior.
And an engineer. Which is yeah, instead of a warrior, because being a warrior was a big aspect of his character.
Yeah, and it's
and it's awesome that he overcame that because, he was for the longest time the only non-bender in the group. He had to work twice as hard to achieve only half of the results that the gang could in a fight.
Yeah, and the thing is, Sokka was
it was such a wonderful and beautiful story about him, and it fed into his insecurities.
The thing is, Sokka
that he
was
was the
still
only
able.
Airbender.
The thing is, like, I don't understand why they would want to remove that aspect of his character because in the original, he was not only a good warrior, but he was also a great leader and a good. He could be a good engineer. Like he helped build the war balloons with the mechanist. So it's like
Yeah,
you know, you
I mean,
still have
and
those
also, Sokka's fighting style does not require CGI. You would think that he would be the one that was pushed more into the warrior role.
Yeah, but I don't
So
know.
I have no idea why this wasn't the case.
I don't know where they're going with this character, but yeah, I really did not like Hakoda has always been like a loving father, and even though Sokka wasn't there as a warrior left, he wanted to raise him up to become one. Like even if Sokka falters a few times, it's not like he sees him as a complete fucking failure or disappointments. And I don't know, I really did not like that change with Hakoda. Even Bato trying to defend him and stuff, and then he's like, stop defending him, It's like, I wish he'd try harder, but it's like he's trying the best he can, and it's like the original Hakoda would not act this way towards Sokka.
Yeah, he would not at all.
If anything, he would.
It was weird. It didn't feel like Hakoda. It felt
like so fake. Like he would act like Hakoda in front of all of us, but then he goes into his cabin and be like, ugh, what a little shit.
Yeah.
And it's like those are his last parental figures, which is already sad that they had to leave after Kaya's death, but it's like, make him unlikable, and it's like, okay, God, Kaya, I guess, was the only good parent in this group.
Yeah, and like, that also ruins part of it, because how are you going to justify Sokka and Katara missing their dad if...
Or Sokka looking up to his father,
Or Sokka looking up to his father even now, because... Now it's like we have no reason to feel why Sokka should look up to his dad. Whereas before we were like, the moment where Sokka met up with his dad again was such an intense and such a passionate moment.
It was such a nice moment seeing them reunite.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where it's like, it's like, did Hakoda even leave Sokka in charge, or did Sokka put himself in charge pretending that his father did it, Like,
yeah.
It doesn't...
And also, like, the moment where, they're in Chameleon Bay in the original show, and they have to get ready for battle, and Hakoda's like, I need all the men to go to this side, and then Sokka's like, what should I do? And Hakoda's like, didn't you hear what I said?
Did you hear what I said? I said
all the men go there.
Get ready.
And that was such an awesome moment, because Sokka was like, yes, my dad is seeing me as a warrior, as
it's
an
like,
actual man.
Bato, do this. The rest of you men, prepare for battle. All right, what should I do? Aren't you listening? I said every man here should prepare for battle.
Yeah.
It was such a nice moment.
Awesome.
And even
I don't see them doing that, because now it's like
you remember
now
the
I feel
flash.
like
You remember the
go
flashback
ahead.
scene from book 1 where we got to see Sokka like trying to pack up to join his father in the battle, but he told him
yeah,
he needed
and oh my god, he had the little wolf mask face paint thing.
Like that shit made me cry even as a kid. So the fact that I'm seeing this just makes me dislike this episode really does suck.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the Hakoda stuff until we started like talking about it, Because like we talked about the Kaya stuff, so I was like,
a minor thing about this shit show of an episode.
Yeah, but I wanted to praise the Kaya thing, so I was like, okay, let's talk about the Sokka thing, and that's when I thought about, oh yeah, Hakoda was kind of a dick.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, June was cool, but she didn't really get to shine until the next one, kind of. But
I like her discussion with Aang. I felt
that's the next episode.
That
that's
was
the next,
something.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's next episode. Right.
Yeah,
Right. My bad.
But like, yeah, she just kind of appeared here, but we can see more of her next episode.
But
Iroh
it's also good
probably
for
made
Zuko.
me laugh the most in this episode because of the Avatar comments that he gave to Zuko. He made me laugh the most in this episode in particular.
Like 100% in the
this
bar.
episode
That was
also,
a cute way to reference the other adventures.
This episode referenced a lot of the previous episode. It referenced the pirates. It references the fortune teller, and it references the Great Divide even. So it's like it was interesting. But
yeah, it was cute because obviously those episodes were not going to get adapted due to their more episodic nature.
Yeah, but ultimately this episode kind of sucked. I know.
Yeah.
It's not surprising. I did like this episode more than the other two. I'm kind of in defensive. I like this one more than episode 1. But I don't know. 4 out of 10.
I like episode 1 way more than this episode. This is probably my second or third least favorite episode.
Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 10.
I give it like a 3 out of 10, but yeah. That's just me.
See, if I definitely gave it a 3 out of 10, then the entire show would have definitely dropped to a 4 instead of a 5.
I could see
Because
that.
I gave it a 4 out of 10, so yeah. Okay,
And let's go to an actual decent episode.
this is the best episode in the entire series, hands fucking down. It's not
Mm-hmm.
even a contest. It's not up to debates. This is just an objective fact. Masks is the best episode. And it's not a surprise because the 2 episodes that they did cram here were my 2 favorite episodes of Book 1. The Storm and the Blue Spirits. I
This
do
was
want
bound to be like a great combination of episodes.
I will
like,
say-
it was destined.
I will say it did start it off a little bit rough because Aang got to the Roku Shrine and did the entire Winter Solstice portion relatively quick. There was absolutely no tension as it was in the original.
There was no reference of a winter solstice, so there was
Yeah.
no, we need to hurry up, you
And
know?
keep in mind, the only reason why I went there is because Roku defeated Ko, which again, I've already expressed, I would not...
Was not the
kind-
case in the original show and should not have been the case in this episode.
Yeah, so it started off rough, but it got better. And so it's like, again, it's the same case of like, because they cram episodes together, a lot of the sequences get resolved a lot quicker, and this is definitely one of them. But once we got out of that, we got the rest of the episode, which is like the Blue Spirits combined with Zuko's side of the origin story from the Storm. And they were a really good story. Both of them were really good, very well told. You got Zuko wanting to save Aang, or take Aang for himself from Zhao. The action sequences was fucking phenomenal. The design of the mask itself was fucking perfect.
Oh, yeah, I felt like the mask looked a little plasticky, but the design itself was spot
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Literally ripped straight from the show.
Yeah, and then Zuko's side of the story, there was one particular change that I thought was fucking genius. So like we never got explored why Zuko had a crew or how Zuko was able to get a crew with him. But I like that the division that Ozai wanted to sacrifice in his war meeting was the same crew that Zuko ended up taking for himself, or at least like for this journey. I thought that was fucking brilliant. Like that was one of if not I think that was my favorite change that they did from the original to here. I really like that I really like that change. It adds a lot of nuances to Lieutenant Chi's character. It definitely added a little bit of like an extra flair of why Zuko even has a crew, because realistically, who would want to go in this type of crew with Zuko?
Exactly. You think that if you're banished, you wouldn't even have a crew to begin with.
Yeah, like you would be.
And if you had the choice to go, you probably wouldn't either, because who the fuck wants to be banished from the Fire Nation, which was the big superpower of the world at the time?
So it makes sense that Ozai was the one that made them go with him, especially, and it's sort of like it's kind of like the lesser two evils, because it's either this or get killed in combat. So
Yeah, exactly.
I really like the action sequences. I love everything about the Storm. I think everything with Iroh is just fucking perfect. The way he delivers his
100%.
lines. Like I already mentioned the Liu 10 stuff. How the reason why he even went on this journey in the first place was like, I don't need a babysitter. How about a friend? I'll be that insteed.
That was
I
the
don't-
best line ever!
Like I don't.
I love acting.
all the tea I need is in this.
No, it was
Isn't
it was like, oh, everything I need.
Everything I need is in this boat. But then he eventually
Yeah, and then he would make a little comment about the tea in his
yeah,
bag.
it was like the tea he needs, not like he was being a little jolly old goober. But yeah, no, like again, the dynamic is perfect. I thought Zuko was handled perfectly here. I like the action sequences. There really is not a lot I can say, but the thing is, like, this is the only time I actually liked an episode with minor issues, like, or at least the issues that I have are, like, they don't take away the entire experience. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't feel like the problems of this episode ruined my experience.
Same. I agree. I feel like this was the one episode, save for the first one, because I had no prior conception of the show or a prior opinion of it before getting into it. I lost track of what I was saying. But
You
I
enjoyed,
agree.
you enjoyed
I
the first
agree.
when we started. You definitely enjoyed the first episode more than you do now.
This made me forget about the previous episodes. That's what I was trying to say.
Because like
It's late. I'm tired.
yeah, because like I feel like with this one, like when we were watching it, like we talked over some of the other prior episodes because we were talking about like we were gushing about like some certain aspect like the set designs and stuff, but we were also talking about like how weird some of the story plot lines are. But this one was like the only time we like didn't say shit. Like we were so focused on this episode. Like we talked over bits in here, but we were more so like engaged with it, and that's how I felt. The changes here I really loved. Like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. I think this is this is easily the one episode that I came out of it saying, yeah, this is it. This is the one.
This is the one episode where I feel like we didn't have to have a discussion afterwards because
we kind of knew.
We both agreed that it was great.
Yeah.
That it was the best episode in the show.
Yeah, this I think this episode definitely saved the ratings of how I feel towards the show overall because this is the only one where I got a positive score. I know to some people 6 could be a positive score, but it's like just shying from being above average or just average in general.
I also like that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I just enjoyed it, but you go ahead.
I was gonna say before we continue on because I feel like after this. Like, as soon as you were going to finish, we were going to head to the next episode.
Right.
I love the conversation that Aang has with Zuko at the end before he gets on the boat.
Yeah, I agree. I like that too. I do think it was a little bit redundant because, like, Zuko had to get knocked out twice. But yeah. I did like the conversation that they had.
I agree, because you can see now how they become friends in the future.
But yeah, I like this episode. There were still... Like, the problems at the beginning still kind of hold it down a little bit, so I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. So...
Same.
Yeah.
I would give it, like, maybe... At most an 8, but I feel like I'm stretching it, so I would just say 7.
I feel like it was close to an 8, but, like, I think the problems at the beginning definitely weighed down a little bit, but it's still, like, a positive
and the
score.
problems of the previous episode, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, we also get the resolution of the
I almost forgot about
storyline.
that. Yeah, this is where they resolve the co stuff,
Yeah.
but it's, like, so rushed.
Yeah, and then they killed Monkey Yatso again.
Yeah. But, well, kind of. He just disappears. But, like...
he moved on. He moved on to the cycle of reincarnation. That's another thing. I like that the show finally confirmed that other people reincarnate. Yeah. It's just that the Avatar is obviously the most important one.
But yeah, good episode. Now, the next one, The North. I don't really have a lot to say about this episode. I'm going to be real with you. I
got one word for you. Whammin'.
Whammin'. I think this is one of the better episodes, but that's only because they focus on the waterbending master plot line in here. So by process of elimination, if you're not cramming shit together, you have a consistent storyline. We talked briefly about Yue and how we like her character in this one better than in the original, or at least she's.
They also made her a bender, which makes sense.
Yeah,
they didn't do that in the original show, which was weird.
Oh. Should I talk about this in this episode or the next one? Because I want to talk a little bit about Hans.
Talk about it here. Like, it's fine because...
I find Hans' character change from being a complete douche in the original to being such a nice guy to be hilariously predictable. So, there's a meme... This is why I wanted to save it for the next episode, but fuck it, it's Han. It's not really... He's the pure definition the pure definition of a minor character. But it's a meme that he dies in the original show. It's not confirmed, so like I'm not gonna say he did or didn't, but it's like, the last time you see from him was he attacks Zhao and then gets thrown overboard in such a comedic way by Zhao. So it's like, he's such a throwaway character that it's like it's ridiculous. And he's such a douche that nobody cares. So when I see him here and he's being so nice, I'm like, oh, you sweet baby boy, you're gonna die, aren't you?
Yeah. It was so obvious that he was gonna die.
Surprise, surprise, he dies. He actually dies in this
one.
And
that's also a big Game of Thrones trope. All the good, nice people just die.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was hilarious because it's like, even though he didn't really die in the original, people say he did, and it's like here, it's like they actually do kill him off. And I just saw it coming because he was too nice. Like, Yeah,
I mean, it's not like that change makes any real difference in the show because the last we saw of him was him being thrown overboard. It's not like anyone cared. He wasn't a major character.
If you told me that he died in the original, I wouldn't have cared. Here,
he had maybe a total of 2 minutes worth of screen time.
Yeah, and like the thing is like here it's like I guess I do feel bad that he died, but at the same time like I didn't really get to see him die. We just see his corpse, but like
Hmm.
I just
But he did, like, the last we saw of him alive was
him
him,
fighting. Yeah,
fighting Fire Nation soldiers so that way the chieftain of the North can get away.
yeah, and again it's like a nice touch, but I just thought it was so predictable because of the meme and the fact that he was being too nice. Because like you have to know, they're polar opposites. They're like two different characters almost. Because in the original,
Yeah,
he's like
Han was supposed to be like the anti-Sokka.
yeah, he was like he didn't respect Sokka's opinions. He was like
He wanted to marry Yue's
yeah.
family for political power.
And then here he's such a sweetheart. And he wanted
Hmm.
to hear Sokka. He's like, hey, can you tell me who's in charge? Do they still have those spiky things? It's like, dude, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, but I like one thing that I do like about Yue and Han's relationship is that Yue says, like, yeah, Han is great. He's,
But he's not the
everything that a
boy.
girl could want. He's just
But
not
he's
what I
not.
want.
He's not the boy of my dreams. And she
No,
says
but
that.
that's also a believable thing because a lot of times, like, I don't know if you've been into this situation, but I know people who have been in this situation that they meet someone and they're dating them, and it's like, okay, this is like literally what every person tells me to have that I should want, but I don't want this person.
Yeah. No, I like that.
And it just
And
felt believable.
it,
I
it
like
also,
that.
it
It was such
also
a minor thing, but I loved
no.
it.
But here's the thing. That minor
And it
thing makes a
characterizes
big.
Yue even more.
Here's the thing. That minor thing makes a big difference because I almost wish he would have done that in the original, as opposed to
Hmm.
having this will they won't they shit with Sokka.
Yeah, this like, Sokka, let's go on a date. No, we can't. Kiss me under the willow tree so you can die. So that I can die this time.
Yeah. I thought the Katara and Master Paku thing was fine. The only problem I had with it was it's just funny.
It was way
It's
too
just
even of a fight.
it's like Katara didn't get her ass kicked enough, unlike in the
I
original.
mean,
But like, here's the thing. Like, I don't. There's not much of an issue I had with it per se. It's just that I think it does. I think yeah. Like even though she still loses the fight by technicality because it's like Paku still puts her in the spikes type of thing. It felt like she was
yeah.
handling him like a lot better than I think I would expect her to do. Because like the difference between a prodigy and a fucking master should be radically different. And
Hmm.
it's not even just
I get that. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I'm
Sorry,
not even
sorry.
I'm not even asking for like bigger waves or or better effects or
Hmm.
anything.
No, because that's what I interpreted from like
Yeah.
when we were having this
It
discussion.
was more like I kind of think like Katara should not be able to handle herself as well. Like compared to the original, like yeah, she was able to handle herself well, but she still couldn't. She barely could do anything to him, and she got whacked around multiple times. And didn't see much of that in here. Like she did
Yeah, but
better.
after the next episode, I can see why they were trying to make it that Katara is actually a master by the end of the show,
Right.
and I don't necessarily agree with that because think about martial arts, and I have been in martial arts on and off for years. Like, I was in Taekwondo and wrestling for 4 years in elementary school, and then again kickboxing in first year of college and senior year of high school, and I still keep up with it from time to time. And the thing about that is that you don't just learn with books. You don't learn through scrolls. Like, sure, you can get a decent visual on the forms and whatnot, but the best way to learn, and the way most people learn, is by having someone teach you, which was the whole important thing about her finding a master.
And here's the thing, like even though she was still able to prove herself, to everyone, but like what got him to teach her was the fact that like she was related to Gran, and
Hmm.
that's how they were able to resolve that conflict. But it's like here's the thing, Katara still learned waterbending from Master Paku in the original. Here, the episode ends like almost immediately after that fight with the siege of the north is about to start. Like you see the black powder snow already, and it's like not to
Hmm.
give too much away with the next episode, but she
With
doesn't.
that, you can already tell that he's not teaching
He's
her.
not teaching her, yeah, and it concerns me because it's like, what is she just? I don't want to call her a Mary Sue because she does struggle in the beginning, but it's like it felt like
But
after,
it doesn't feel believable.
yeah, it's like after the jet stuff, she's like amazing at waterbending, you know?
Yeah, I don't mind her being good at water
Me neither,
bending,
but like I do.
obviously, but like,
Me neither, but it's like I wish she still was able to learn from Master Paku. And again, this is just my issue with the series as a whole. It sort of resolves things quickly, and it doesn't slow down a little bit. So like, yeah, of course we couldn't even take a minute for Katara to learn waterbending from Master Paku. I hate to say this, but even the movie did that.
yeah, even the movie had Katara learn from Paku, even though that fight scene was whack as fuck.
Yeah. But like at least that was there, you know, like, you know, it was still there. Also, not to give away too much, Aang doesn't waterbend a single time in this episode in this series.
Yeah, the only time he water bends in quotation marks is when he's in Koizilla form.
Yeah, not even in the Avatar state from the beginning of the original show where he's
Yeah, because that was taken out.
Yeah, that was taken out in the original. So it's like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, in favor of Katara bending water from like 20 feet away.
That's so
And precisely that had the precise amount to block Zuko's fireball.
it's so dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I don't really have a lot to say. The Karuk stuff was pretty interesting, you know, but you know, it's kind of.
I like that he's not not as developed as an avatar, and they handle that well without him explicitly stating it. They just have, you know, Aang say, "Kyoshi took over my body. Why can't you do it?" And he's like, "I can't."
Aang annoying the shit out of him.
Yeah, literally. And I like that Kuruk still was able to provide some degree of wisdom to Aang, and then made him second guess himself. But at the same time, it's like
it kind of gets resolved quickly too, you know.
not only that, but like when you in the Kyoshi novels, it basically confirms that every Avatar had a team Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Yang Chen had her own.
Hell.
Kuruk had his own. Kyoshi had her own. Roku technically had his own if you count his teachers.
Roku has his own. It's just like, cause here's the thing: he has his best friend Sozin, his wife, of course. He was friends with
Gyatso.
Gyatso was his best friend, so it's like you know. And then he was also friends with all of his teachers, as he explained. So
Yeah.
he had a group. He had a supporting group. So, like, yeah, everybody had a group of friends that they were still... Yeah, I find it weird where it was like, oh, friends are a liability. I understand Roku's thing, because it's supposed to set up that he and Sozin were friends, and Sozin betrays him, so I understand his point of view. I don't know... I don't get why Kyoshi is such a hard-ass, other than her just being a bitch. And Kuruk, I definitely understand it.
Yeah, she's a bit of a hard ass. She's a lot meaner than how she is portrayed everywhere else.
wanted to step on me.
Me too! I think the reason why they portrayed Kyoshi as such a hard ass is because of just how Avatar Studios tries to depict her, or how the fan base used to depict her early on. Because everyone early on was like, oh, Kyoshi is the murderer of the group. You know, she's the one that will kill without hesitation. Her warning is her stabbing you. That's the warning.
And if you can survive that, consider yourself blessed.
Yeah, and like even look at Avatar Studios, like their YouTube channel. Whenever they post compilation videos of the characters like doing badass shit, or like, you know, going crazy and like fighting and kicking ass, they all are being angry. They just like give them like whited out Avatar state eyes and say, "Oh, this character's going full Kyoshi." And it's like, no, Kyoshi was a lot more diplomatic. She was a lot more refined, and
she's strict, but yeah, she's not a bitch.
She was stern and stoic, but she was not a bitch. Her girlfriend, Rangi, was the bitch, apparently, but that's another thing.
I had to read the comics. I don't know shit about the Kyoshi stuff, but... Yeah.
Well, it was in the novel, but yeah.
Whatever,
the point is, Rangi apparently is the more aggressive one of the two.
Comics, graphic novel. I need to start reading Avatar books, alright? Leave me alone. Anyway, I kind of get this one a 5 out of 10. I don't really feel strongly about this one. Ironically, this is what I originally gave to Spirited Away, because I didn't feel anything towards that other episode. But yeah, but this one... Yeah, like, nothing really, anything I hated.
I feel like really all of the conflict was just created by the creators of the live-action show, rather than just implementing conflict that was already within the series. Or just have Katara a moment of Katara and Aang learning the basics of waterbending.
Yeah.
Because even that was handled in the show directly. Instead, we just had to make up this bullshit ass conflict of Aang being like, I can't have friends. Katara complaining about sexism. And
Sokka
Sokka.
having absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Sokka just. His only problem is Han is nice.
His problem is not
He's
having,
not a dickhead.
His problem is not having a problem. He's
One thing I will give this episode. I do like how they explain how waterbending heals.
right.
Because I've seen some people comment that waterbending healing is just kind of bullshit. Like, it's just kind of there. It doesn't really make all that much sense. But the way they explain it, how it's more of a process directing related to chi, and how it's using the chi, it's basically control of the flow of chi via water, and manipulating it to reach that area in order to heal someone. And I thought that was cool. That's a cool explanation of chi that makes sense within the original canon of the series. And I'm glad that they explained it, because the entire time I was like, why the fuck can water heal?
Right.
Aside from it just being, water being a sign of life. In basically any civilization or any country or any planet.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this episode. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
5 out of 10.
It's just
probably.
meh. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's just kind of meh.
And unfortunately, that's kind of how I feel with this next one too, Legends, which is weird because it's the finale. Okay, let me just get this one thing out of the way. The Momo death fake out scene, like that.
I was gonna flip a coffee table.
The only reason why I know that was bullshit is because if Momo did actually die in this series, Twitter would have blown up. This was gonna reach Joel Last of Us Part 2 death level blow up, alright?
I was gonna scream. I was like, you saw me even. I was like, they're not killing Momo. They can't do this. They can't kill Momo.
The thing is, for me, it's like, I had the opposite because it's like, this was my reaction when I saw it. Oh yeah, Momo's in the show. I completely forget
he's barely in this show. That's right. Him and Appa are barely here.
At least with Appa, I can kind of get it, but Momo,
Appa's just a big ass,
yogi.
He's just a big ass yogi. Yeah, he's just a big ass bison, just big dick chilling in the background.
But Momo
not doing much. But Momo, he's tiny. He could fit in Aang's shoulder.
Yeah, so it's like. So I wasn't really shocked to see, I don't know, I didn't have my investment with Momo as I did with the original, and so when I see this, it's like, oh, I know what they're gonna do, they're gonna spirit heal him and stuff, and yeah. I had fun with this episode, that's all I can really say about it. Even watching it a second time, the only thing I came out of this episode was being a little confused about the whole, the Avatar has been lost when he merged with the ocean spirits.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I was kind of dumb, but
I mean, I can see why they made that change. Not that I agree with it. I can see why they made it because there was really no stakes with Aang merging with Tui, La, whoever the fuck.
No, Tui's the one that died. It was the other one.
Okay, so La, the ocean spirit. There was no real
there is a stake.
It was just Aang being
there is a stake. Wait, there is a stake. So when Katara was calling him, all La was doing was going la 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 la. I don't hear you.
Yeah, fucking Katara, that was such a dumbass. We were just Katara, Aang is punching and destroying the shit out of all these Fire Nation ships.
Oh yeah,
and then Katara's like, Aang, I need you, and then Aang can somehow hear her. Bullshit. In this torrent of water around her, when all he should be hearing is.
Also, that entire thing about Aang killing people back in the original show, where it was a little bit ambiguous if he did or not, for the sake of the finale, that is thrown out the window. People fucking died during this scene.
Okay, but this wasn't Aang.
I know.
This was Godzilla.
I know. I'm just saying because
And
like even the original didn't like showcase anybody dying during that sequence. Because like they're just getting splashed by water or pushed away. Nah, people fucking died in this episode. Like holy fuck, they did not hold back. And yeah, I don't. This is not an Aang body count. I still think that the finale's message still holds water even in this series. But I'm just pointing out.
And I can
people
see how
fucking died.
Yeah, definitely. I can see how they would use this moment as something to help, like, to give Aang some conflict for the next season. Like, have him be like, I don't want to go into the Avatar state because, or do that ever again because I killed so many people in that Koizilla form.
Yeah.
So I hope they go with that route once we get to the Earth Kingdom and Aang is told to like master the Avatar state. If we adapt that episode, I don't think we will.
I don't think we're gonna adapt General Fong. It's also gonna be like.
Let's be real. They're gonna put Toph's episode as the first episode, and we know it.
I don't know. Maybe most likely. But yeah.
Knowing how they blew their load with Wan Shi Tong, Spirit Water shit, motherfucking Ko the Face Stealer, Main Tai Li, Lightning Bending. They're gonna blow their load early with book 2.
So, fun fact, since you just reminded me that I just forgot to mention, Ozai is played by the same person who voiced General Fong in this episode, in the original, and Hiroshi Sato in Legend of Korra. Just thought I should point that out.
Oh yeah, that's right, and he's hot, and I want him to marry me. But
Dude,
he's married, so I ain't gonna do that.
It's no fucking. It's fucking criminal that he looks so perfect as Ozai. I'm gonna say that. Oh my god.
It's criminal. He looks so damn perfect to begin with.
All right, calm down. All right, calm
no
down,
one
sir.
should be that fucking sexy. That sexiness could have gone to so many other people in the world that needed it.
You?
No, you bitch.
Oh.
You fucking asshole.
I'm sorry, it was too easy.
I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't have a lot to say about this episode. I had fun with it. The bending was nice. The fight between Zuko and Katara was fun. I liked the dynamic between Sokka and Yue. I liked the scene with Iroh and Zuko. I think it was pretty humorous. The no plan stuff. I don't remember if that was in this episode or the last one, but like that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was cute. I liked it.
Zhao got fucking murderized.
Yeah.
Was that the problem you had?
No, that wasn't the problem I had.
You said you had an issue with something in this episode, I believe.
The fuck was it?
I don't know.
I think. Yeah. So it was the fact that Wan Shi Tong's library doesn't exist, kind of.
Oh yeah, this is the episode that showed that Zhao got his information.
Yeah,
from
we could have
sages.
easily had Zhao had a throwaway line saying, "I discovered a library in the desert."
That was a throwaway line even in the original.
Exactly. Instead of just filming an entire scene of Zhao looking through, Fire Nation scrolls given to him by the fire sages.
Yeah, it was the sages that told him about the fucking.
Yeah. Also, freaking Zhao having the motivation to become Fire Lord, saying that he's weak, he's only worried about his family drama, bullshit, and it's just like Zhao was very. Say what you will about Zhao. Zhao was patriotic. He cared about the Fire Nation. He wanted Fire Nation superiority.
Yeah.
He even said so himself that fire is the superior element.
I mean, he's still crazy, but yeah, he's crazy.
He's still crazy, but like
he had a heart of gold.
he had a heart of a patriot. Zhao actually was the model Fire Nation soldier. He was the one that we could see like, okay, this is basically how every other Fire Nation soldier is like,
Do you find it funny that Zhao? Okay, so like in the original show, Zhao doesn't get killed. I know we didn't really know that till Legend of Korra, but he gets dragged into the Fog of Lost Souls. But do you find it funny how in both live-action adaptations, Zhao gets fucking murdered and not like punished?
They're probably gonna like fucking bring his soul back if they ever adapt Korra, which I doubt. But if they ever do, they'll probably just bring him back.
I could see them adapting Korra, but I don't see them using Zhao.
I feel like they'll probably include that scene because that scene was like out of all the book 2 scenes, that was the scene that everyone was just like, "Oh my god," you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, fucking Zhao always gets murderized
Yeah, no,
by
I
Fire
still,
Nation people.
or by water people in the movie. Like, you know,
That
he
too.
doesn't get punished by the
They pulled a
spirits.
fucking Scar with the hyenas. Like he's just thrown into the wolves, I guess.
Yeah.
Literally in the case of the water tribe people, because the wolves are
I just think
experimental
that's
with them.
funny because like he's not dead in the original series, but they keep killing him off in the live action stuff.
Probably because they're like, this is ass.
I mean,
We're not gonna do anything
I mean,
afterwards, so you know what?
granted, yeah. Again, before Legend of Korra, I thought he did die. You know,
That's
but
true. I
like,
think everyone thought he died. It was kind of a general consensus, really.
yeah. I'd have to look back on the Wayback Machine because I'm genuinely curious that if I find a time period before Korra season 2 where he appeared, did it had deceased in his Wikipedia page, or they just never confirmed that he died? So I'm just wondering.
Probably,
If
he probably did have deceased, or
I guess,
speculated to be deceased,
or like, cause like I can see that the creators
or
probably just
on
didn't
status
confirm.
unknown.
Because like I can see that the creators didn't, you know, could have just not confirmed it. Unfortunately, I couldn't even go back to see if they did that with Jet, for instance, because again, ambiguity. But you know, I'm curious. But yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. This poor Zhao gets murdered every time.
Yeah, but I prefer it. I don't like when they murder him.
No, I
I
agree.
liked it.
I would prefer if they didn't murder him. I like that he
Yeah,
gets punished,
because
but or at least if you're gonna kill him off, at least have the water spirit, the ocean spirit, kill him. Like,
yeah, instead of Iroh or this random water tribe citizens, because with Iroh, there's no catharsis to him, you know, with Iroh killing Zhao, and it also just kind of like muddies Iroh's character a little bit. Yeah, it was to defend Zuko, but still, you know, you have a character that's genuinely good and that everyone loves actually murder someone.
you know,
Make of that what you will.
Iroh protected Zuko from a sneak attack that Zhao wanted to do in the original without killing him. So
That's true, yeah. And with the ocean spirit, you know, killing him in quotation marks, it's just a greater catharsis because it's poetic justice at its finest. So poetic justice is when a villain gets their just desserts, their you know, their punishment at the end of the story. And in this case, it's perfect because he fucked with the spirits. He fucked with one of the most important spirits.
so he gets
And
fucked.
yeah, so he gets fucked by that spirit's, you know, sibling. It
Right.
makes all the sense in the world. The only thing that would have made even more sense is if Yue killed him.
Yeah,
But even
they're
then,
not gonna do that.
exactly, they're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So there's that. We did see his body get taken, you know, with the ocean spirit's current type situation. So he's probably in the fog of lost souls.
As a corpse, probably.
With a big ass burn mark on his back, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I would get this episode like a 6, probably. It's, you know, I had fun, but I didn't really have a lot. There wasn't really a whole lot that stood out from it, other than, like, I guess it looks pretty. You know, I think this is where most of the budget came in.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's like you see Koizel and you're like, oh, so that's why we didn't see any dragons.
Oh my god, that's why we didn't see any dragons. That's why Appa was barely in the show.
That's why Momo barely existed.
That's why I didn't
It's
care.
Schrodinger's Momo.
That's why I didn't care if Momo died or not.
Yeah, that's why when he got hit by all them rocks, you were like, oh wait, Momo's in the show.
It's like, oh yeah, you're here. Never mind, you're gone.
I like that Yue squared up to Zhao alongside Aang and Sokka. Because
Oh, yeah, they
we
replaced
know damn well
Katara.
Yue can't do shit. Yeah, replacing Katara. But she was fighting Zuko. But you know damn well, it's cool because, like, you know damn well Yue can't do shit against these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Because she was never taught to fight anyway.
th-
But
that-
it's cool though
she
because it's
can-
like, I will lose, but I will lose swinging, you know?
She can give them ice cream.
She can give them ice cream, that is true. She'll give them brain freezes,
One more-
literally
one-
and metaphorically.
One last thing I want to say before we wrap this episode up. Please, don't kill off Lieutenant G. Don't do this to me. I was so invested with Zuko's crew, and I know they're not going to come back. They
Honestly, yeah, I think they would.
I know.
Wow.
I know, but like, fuck, dude.
Because we like him. Everyone likes him.
Because like,
He
here's
is
the
so
thing.
likable
Yeah,
here.
like, because like back then I didn't care, but now it's like, fuck,
Because
dude.
he was a glorified background character. He only had lines in the storm, and that was it.
Dude, you know, fun fact. I thought he was Zhao this whole time for some reason when I was a kid. They look like each other. I'm just saying.
The gray hair,
So I was like,
the same bond, the same like hairline and everything.
yeah. So I thought this was Zhao this whole time.
Jesus Christ, the fucking actor who played G, they gave him some fuck ass mutton chops. Like some big ass mutton chop sideburns.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
couldn't stop staring at that shit.
But yeah,
Every time he was on screen, that's all I would see.
I gave this episode a 6 out of 10. What would you give it?
I would give it about the same.
Yeah. So overall, I think we were kind of underwhelmed. We kind of expected a little bit more, I think, from this series. I think that's pretty accurate. You mentioned that you were like, man, I had expectations.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like that we enjoyed some things about this show, even though, like, ultimately the final product is a little bit,
Yeah.
Here's hoping that season 2 won't be so cramming a bunch of nonsense and actually focus on telling a coherent story.
Mm-hmm.
But only time will tell.
Yeah, let's hope that they actually do some good shit with book 2.
They better, because book 2 is my favorite season, you know, of the 3
I mean,
books.
same. And also, book 2 is a lot more serialized, but not only that, it's also just... There is a bigger difference between the filler, in quotation mark, filler episodes of book 2 and the plot relevant ones.
Yeah, they're not going to tell, like, the fucking...
We're not gonna tell the Kyoshi town
yeah,
story.
plus they kind of, like, did it in episode 2 anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, they adapted, like, aspects of it. And I hope Wan Shi-tong is in his fuck-ass library. He better be in his fucking library.
He has to be, because that's where Appa gets stolen.
Exactly. They would have come up with a different situation. They'll probably think, like, fucking Sokka sold him for money or some shit.
No, they wouldn't do my boy Sokka. That I don't fucking know. I don't care.
This show, like, does some dumbass, whack-ass decisions at times that make no fucking sense.
But then they do good decisions like the fucking 41st Division stuff.
You know what? A broken clock is right twice a day.
We'll see what they do with book 2. I want to have hopes, but no.
I'll say this. I feel sorry for Toph's actress because she's going to have to compete with people's expectations.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like...
And I know for a fact that if they don't hire a blind Chinese girl, people are going to fucking riot.
Yep.
Like, literally blind. Not a Chinese actress and then make her, like, you know, give her contacts to give her, like, look like she got glaucoma. No, like, blind.
They need her to be blind.
Blind with an extra syllable in blind.
Yeah,
That's the blue part.
I feel like Toph and Azula are gonna have it rough.
Azula already has it rough. The poor girl, they made her Cersei Lannister when she should be Azula.
Yep. But yeah,
You know?
that I guess that's all she wrote. I guess that's all we have to say about this show. We've been going on for almost 3 hours. Holy fuck!
Damn! Holy shit! It's almost 11.
And you were worried that we were gonna have almost nothing to talk about, and I honestly think we skimmed through some of the episodes, even.
Yeah.
But we still talked. Imagine if we went full in depth about them. We would be here till tomorrow.
Oh my god. We wouldn't have made it past Into the Dark or Spirited Away.
We wouldn't have shut the fuck up. Like, in fact, if we went in depth, we would still be talking about Omashu.
I would have been like, Ko is not that short. He is longer, and his mask looks stupid. Why is he a human here in this scene? I don't know.
His
it makes
scene
no
is so
fucking sense.
His scene is so underwhelming. Yeah, like compared to how creepy he was in the original, he felt very,
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, thank you.
You could have replaced Ko with any other generic spirit monster from Korra season 2,
Or just
and it would have made no difference. whatsoever.
Or-
If they put Heibai, it would have made a it would have made a good difference. It would have been like
It would have been a better
it would have
story.
actually made the plot cohesive and important, and would not have ruined Ko.
Yeah.
And
But
fuck
yeah.
these hosts. Also, wait, can I mention another thing?
Go ahead.
It makes no fucking sense that they changed it that Tui and La are spirits only once a year during like the ice moon or whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh yeah.
Because
That's-
the thing is that the ocean and moon spirits came into the living world near the beginning, as Ko says, or in the beginning, or some bullshit like that. And the ocean and the moon, they're always there. Like the moon doesn't just go away for a few months until the ice moon arrives. No, the moon is always there.
Yeah.
And same goes for the ocean.
They're still the original waterbenders.
That's not the issue. The issue is, why the fuck do they go away into the spirit world and then into the mortal world?
Because they want to know what it's like to be mortal, even if it's just for one day. Which, let me tell you...
No, but they were mortal to begin with in the fucking show!
Which is funny, because if
And also, why the fuck do they have these, like, why the fuck does Zhao have that fuck-ass dagger? That Kubrick was like, oh, it's an ancient artifact, and it could be used to kill the moon spirit. That is, like, such an American thing. Not American thing, but, like, just a European storytelling trope of, like, only a specific weapon can kill this monster.
All I'm saying is that, like, after dying while trying to be living as a mortal for, like, one day or something, I'll be like, fuck this place. I'm out. I'm never coming back.
I mean, yeah.
God.
I don't blame you. That's how it was handled in Chinese mythology when two gods became mortal. They were just like, fuck this. We need to find out how we can become gods again.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, it's worth being immortal for one day. One of them dies and then comes back. Dude, fuck that. No, I'm never coming back here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this was interesting. I hope you all enjoyed watching this or listening to us, whatever the fuck you do. There's nothing on the screen, so I hope you enjoyed listening to us.
What are you talking about? Is our Earth Kingdom and Fire Nation symbols?
They're just flashing green. It's not like they're playing a melee tournament, alright? There's nothing going on.
No, it's not like Earth Rumble 6 with Fire Nation, man.
I could have literally recorded this in 15 frames per second. Alright? Like,
honestly,
difference.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, it's a podcast though. Like no one is gonna be like watching a podcast. They're just gonna be listening to while like doing chores. Unless you're one of those people. In which case, damn, you're weird. But that's good for you.
I mean, maybe they'll be watching us while they're beating their meat.
I mean, by this point, I should just have an OnlyFans then.
Alright, I'm ending it. Thank you, sluts, for watching, and stay tuned for the next Slutcast. When and what will that be? I don't fucking know, because nothing really interesting is happening. Like, what?
Will Zhao come back? I don't know. When will our next video, our Slutcast be? I don't know. When will Azure Aura have his own channel? I don't know.
One thing I do know is expect some Avatar content in the future. I'm not going to reveal one major project that we're doing now, as I'm saving it for specific events that could be, happening on someone else's channel. But I will say that I am more interested in playing the games of Avatar for the channel. Maybe do like a little post commentary, a little co-op here and there. So I want to. No, I'm joking. So expect those stuff, because I kind of want to put Avatar more in the channel, showcase something that was pretty important in my life,
Also, watch Marcus' videos. They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're alright.
And I appear in them, so fucking watch them or I'll eat you.
Yeah, they're alright. Well, later, sluts.
Bye.